it's supposed to feel.
Never break, always fight, never quit, do it right, play the game, win it life, have no shame, there's no time, feel the pain, live the grind, I could change, in my mind, pick a lane, commit and climb, the only way to win at life. I never miss, that's fact, taking big swings, bitch, hand me the bat, put me in the ring, you'll go out in a bag, cause I sing what I mean and I bring it to the mad light. Ain't got time to kill, I got time to feel, I took the red pill, I know life's short so I wanna live real, but how's it supposed to feel?
How's it supposed to feel?
How's it supposed to feel? They wanna say my name, but they holding back. They wanna say they hate, but they know it's cap. I ain't play no games, I just do that's fact. And I don't feel no shame, it's a mood you lack. I go crazy, nah bitch I ain't lazy. Track after track, I work on this shit daily. Pass me the jack, right as fuel, got me hazy. About to unpack all these things I've been chasing. I've got visions in my head, like memories after death. To be a legend instead of something you can forget. I'm living up every breath, I'd rather lead than be led. I'll fill the seats as I spread with every word that I've said.
How's it supposed to feel?
How's it supposed to feel? Lane fast, call it high speed. I've been working hard, yeah, I've been working nightly. If you think you'll win, ha, not fucking likely. I be taking shots, yeah, cold-blooded, icy. Watching numbers grow is what I call sightseeing. In the front row, run it up when they hype me. The following grows, they know how to ignite me. Call me CEO, I've been running shit right, see. And I ain't playing games, I create my own lane, making pleasure out of pain, turning losses into gains, I'm the boss, I'm making change. I've been rocking this exchange, popping off and risking things, gonna make a fucking name. I just wanna be famous, but I don't want that cheap fame. No, I'm not that vain, I just wanna be greatness. I just wanna be greatness. I just wanna be greatness.
Well, I did meet my wife in college, let's just say freshman year. The prettiest girl I knew freshman year, came into my dorm room. I must have been only there for about how long was I at the schoolyard? I was only there for a very short amount of time, a couple weeks, and she comes into my room and I'm playing that song, and she was so impressed with me. I don't know why. She's like, dude, Carry On Wayward Son. She was a weird fucking girl though. She was cool though, but she was fucking weird as fuck, man. I liked her though. And listen, I haven't been able to contact her since. No one can find her on Facebook. Nobody can find her fucking anywhere. But she was the knees beast. She was real weird, real pretty. She was creative. She was like one of those little manic pixie dream girls before they were a thing. I mean, not to say she didn't have her own agency and shit like that. Fuck you, Sargon. Look at this little fucker. Nice tunes, but get on with it. Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. What a pain in the ass you must be. What a pain in the... I hate you. I love you. I hate you. I love you. Was she pretty like Taylor Swift? She was real pretty, Brad Glasgow. She was very, very pretty. It's only complicated at the beginning, but it's really fun to learn how to build a PC. I have no idea why I clicked that. I love you, Captain Geach. Listen to me. I want to tell you guys something. I do have some news. I was going to do not streaming today, but I got most of my shit done today. I still have a little bit to do. In that, I figured, well, fuck it. I'd like to do a show. It's not going to be a very long show. But you know, and also I'm listening to Kansas. I have a little fucking marijuana cart by my hand, and I saw people in the stream talking about hey, is Jaffe getting high tonight? And I haven't been high for like 2 weeks, and I was like, fuck it. So I'm not smoking anymore. I took like 1.5 big puffs. I have no idea what cart that was, if that's the high potency when we're in for a treat, boys. But if not, oh well, we'll just kind of see what it means to be. Yeah. But we'll go from there and we'll talk. I hope everybody is well. Welcome to Gabbin Games for this is called January 19th, fellas. January 19th. Remember, if you want to call in and talk briefly, I'm in the call-in show channel. Put yourself in the call-in waiting room. Let's roll into some shows. She married Jaffe and he scarred her for life. She went total incognito. No, we did not get married. She was a nice lady though. She was pretty cool. Jaffe says, Eric, didn't you have a video about Jedi Fallen Order? Did you take it down or are you tripping? It's not down, but it's probably been moved to the members only channel. Okay. I'm glad you're here live as well, Ninsen. I want to tell you something. Let me move this screen over so we can enjoy the same visuals. You know how Facebook sends you like, hey, this is your memory and shit, memories from this day. So I got one this morning while I was going through my list. Skunkwork says, hi, David Jaffe. My mom is in love with you and you do not have a dad. So, hey, send me a picture. Let me see what she looks like. Not that comes first, but, I mean, let's be clear. With a name like Skunkworks as your name, I got to be careful. So they send me these pictures of my life. This particular one I'm about to show you was 8 years ago. And I want to show it to you because at the time, and this kind of has to do with video games, more technology. At the time, I thought this picture was so clever and so interesting. Let me show you the picture. It was 8-9 years ago. So my daughter was about 7 years old in this picture. This is Sarah Ann. Oh, that's the wrong picture. Here you go. There you go. That's her. She's at the Museum of Art, San Diego, downtown. And I thought, well, this is going to be she loves to draw. She wants to be a professional artist at this point, but I said, let's go to the museum. And I said, this is going to be great. She's going to learn all about paintings and fall in love with classical art, or at least stir her imagination. And the first thing she does, and the only thing she does, is she goes right to the giant iPad desk in the middle of the fucking room, spends half the time on there. She's reading about the paintings that are literally on the walls behind her, but she would prefer to look at it on a goddamn computer screen, okay? So, anyway, this is my point, though. My point, though, is what really fascinated me when I looked at it 10 years down the line is I no longer had that sort of cynical view of it. That view of, not that I was mad about it, but I was no longer like, isn't that ironic, don't you think? It was more today when I looked at it, I was like, we put too much value on what people tell us is compelling and tell us is artistic and tell us is important. When these paintings were painted behind her in the 1700s, 15, 16, 1700s, whatever, sure, I'm sure they pressed a lot of buttons. But now, people's brains are wired that they would rather interface with their art, and they would rather engage with their art. I wonder if in 300-400 years, if they wouldn't be called video games anymore, but if entertainment that is interactive will be so engaging, people will go to museums, or you don't have to go to a museum, but people will go to a certain place in the metaverse in order to actually look at movies, because linear narrative may just prove to be too slow for our fucking brains. We may just be like, no, baby, I need more, I need more, I need more. That's what I wanted to show you. But we're gonna get to the news. I want to get to this wonderful first super chat of the day. Why can't you guys be more like your brother Pimp My Shed? Hey Jaffe, he says, hope you're well. I am. Your show is getting me through some dark times. I appreciate the contact. I man. We were good to the. I don't know what that means. I think you're appreciating the contact, man. I don't know what the I is. Buddy, you were very welcome. That's one of the reasons I love doing this show, is because I love, whether or not you're having a rough time, a nice time, whatever, I love driving across the country sometimes. I don't do it often, but I've done it twice. And you listen to the radio late at night. You feel like you're connected there. I like doing it with streams. I love, that's one of the things I love about doing this show. There's something really neat about having that connection with people. So I'm glad you're here. I appreciate the super chat. I'm sorry you're going through dark times. Maybe we can help a teeny tiny little bit. Jaffe, what do you miss most about working on Twisted Metal, says Camelo? Not a goddamn thing. I do not miss working on video games one goddamn bit. That's the God's honest truth. That's the God's honest truth. Nothing. Not a thing. Not a goddamn thing. I did get a text from a couple of people I worked with in the industry, and this fella says to me, hey, Jaffe, I'm making a game with this other person who I've worked with, and I'm fans of both of theirs. And they said, can we talk a little bit, just give us some thoughts and advice on kicking off our first game we're doing together. So that's exciting. I love doing the consulting with movie games. I'm actually working on some paragraphs and write-ups right now for some games they sent me and said, hey, we're thinking of maybe publishing these. What do you think? I'm really enjoying that process, right? But in terms of the day-to-day, getting in there, getting into the trenches and making games with the team, no, it was too stressful. It was too fucking hard. And I enjoy this so much more. Okay, so let's move on to the news of the day, my little friends. We're going to be all over the place, but we're mostly going to focus, of course, on the... let me ask you this. I'm going to put a poll up. You guys tell me, do we want fresh news and then Activision? Or do we want Activision now and then if you do fresh news, whatever? I'm putting the poll up. Don't fucking write anything down. Fresh news now, then Activision. Okay, so yes or no. I'm putting it up right now. So if you want to jump right to, if you want to jump, where did it go? There you go. If you want to jump right to brand new news, then hit yes. If you want to jump right to Activision, then hit no, and I'll start with Activision. Because I know a lot of people are thinking about that. But I got both. I got both served up. Hello, Mr. K. How are you, sir? Listen to me, Mr. K. I will be cutting... If you are kind enough, once again, to do timestamps, obviously, please don't feel obligated. But if you do them, just so you know, I'm going to be... The minute this is over, I'm going to be cutting off the opening song because it's copyright. And in that, I don't mind readjusting the timestamps. I'm just letting you know. Okay. Regarding your picture, says Zero Signal, I do wonder how much of that info and picture was retained just by reading about it. How many times do you Google something only to forget days later? Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to ask her. All right. So, you fucker chucks. It's 50-50. Fuck it. I'll just go in order then. We're going in order. Polls over. Polls over. All right, here we go. This is a question I've been trying to get to the last couple of days. This is for from Matsokista, who I think on our Discord is enigmatic or something like that. He says, but I've been wanting to address this because I get this question a couple times a month. There's Rotten Tanuki. Please go look at Rotten's really cool fucking site. He's got cool shit there. Click on the link tree. He says, "Hey Jaffe, good morning. It's Jeff again. LOL." I like that. That's the funny part. Oh, it's Jeff again. I always tend to get big ideas for games, but I have zero experience or any idea where to even begin to make the game. Is there any way I could sell my ideas or game devs to game devs or publishers? If so, how would you even do that? Then, keep up. Love you. I'll appreciate all that. Thank you, Masakita. So I get this question a relatively decent number. What does this mean? Crash and KI. What does that mean? I only asked because I had a plane crash dream last night. I have them all the time though, so I'm just curious. Anyway, I get this question often, and I bring it up because I want to answer it. Oh, the drugs are kicking in. By the way, if you're just joining us, I did take a couple of hits of marijuana. I am a lightweight. I'm not going to be smoking through this stream at all. It will not be as bad as the other night, but we were playing some Kansas, Carry On Wayward Son, and the stream started saying, "Hey, are you high, Jaffe?" And I'm like, that sounds like a good idea. Anyway, here we go. So what I will tell you is, yes, this has sort of been the question for all creative mediums for a long time, which is I have an idea. And if all you have or all you have had are ideas for games or books or movies or whatever, some people will try to, Crash and Killer Instinct. I got it. You knuckleheads. I got it. So if all you have are ideas, you'll have a couple of people, some shyster types that come along and say, "I can help you sell your idea. People want your ideas." They really don't. Nobody wants your fucking idea. Okay. Now, I will push back on a lot of the people who do a lot of the implementation of games are like, ideas are cheap. Well, ideas are cheap, but good commercial ideas that are marketable are not cheap. That are compelling and marketable are not cheap. So if you do tend to write or create or have great ideas, don't let people shit on your ideas just because you don't want to fucking learn to code, 3 math and shit. Okay? Good commercial ideas are incredibly important. Okay? But they are right when they say execution is more important. So what I will tell you is there is no structure set up to sell an idea. Like if you're Kevin Hart and you walk into your agent at UTA and say, "Man, I got this idea for a cool game." Well, he just wants to keep Kevin Hart happy. So he'll go over to Ophir's group, the UTA game group, and maybe they'll set up a couple of meetings. And maybe, if you're Kevin Hart, you can sell an idea, which really just means we want to use you for press for the game. And that's worth, basically letting us make your idea. We'll change it as we go, blah, blah, blah. But really a team wants to make their own ideas. Or a publisher comes to the team and says, we own this publisher. We need a game like this. Or we're hiring this publisher. We need a game like this. So as much as I know it's disappointing to hear, because I was bummed at first too, I always loved the idea of just sitting at home and writing design documents and selling them like screenplays. But you don't have to be in the business very long to realize that it really just doesn't work that way. It could, but right now gamers don't really value ideas as much as gameplay. I mean, people, of course, they value The Last of Us, right? But frankly, The Last of Us without the Naughty Dog team, I'm sure you could sell it as a top-down retro 16-bit arcade game and there would be a fan base, but it wouldn't be what it is today, obviously, in terms of success. So I would say great ideas are rare. Most ideas are not great, which means those most ideas are a dime a dozen, and there's really not much you can do with this. You have to either fucking make it yourself or find a team, embed within the team. Chip, I haven't looked at the hat yet, buddy. But there you go. Who needs scripts when you can pump out another Call of Duty? Nomad, it really has nothing to do with that. I mean, I know what you're saying and I get it. But it's less about that and more about the problem with scripts are ideas are cheap. Conceptual ideas are cheap unless they're really brilliant, which they usually aren't. I'm closing my eyes to focus because I'm high. Games are iterative, so selling design documents don't make a lot of sense. I've actually gone to GDC lectures where the guy's like, I want to sell design docs, and I'll tell you how you can do it too. And he was bringing up pages from his design doc, like a 200-page design doc, showing like charts of like, when you hit with this sword, it's +1. And when you hit with this, it's -18. And I'm sitting there going, dude, you cannot paper design a game. You can write what you would like the team to create, but the minute it's created, you begin iteration. So you can't really sell designs. And on top of it, teams have their own ideas they want. So, that's my answer, pal. There you go. Let us move on. This is brief. I know we've been spending a lot of time talking about Activision. Rightly so. And we'll get to Activision in just a minute. Today's news on Activision. But I will tell you that obviously the Ubisoft deal is still, or issue is still happening, which is all the toxicity, sexual harassment, and things like that. And the other day there was, just as an aside, there was a hashtag trending. I think they're trying to trend it every month. It was something like Blackout Star Wars or something, which is meant to bring attention to the fact that David Cage has said a number of things in the past that were toxic, homophobic, transphobic, sexist, on and on and on. He runs Quantum Dream, who's making a Star Wars game with Lucas. And people are like, this guy's an offensive prick. We want to send a message to Lucas or Disney that they shouldn't be in business with David Cage's company, Quantum Dream. And whether or not, the court acquitted him of any wrongdoing when he was sued, but they didn't really acquit him of what he said. They said because of how it was said and how the magazine was, some people will tell you, no, he was cleared in a court of law. He was cleared of libel and slander in a court of law. Or at least the magazine was not found that he was accusing of libel and slander, of being libelous and slanderous. But he still said those things, right? But Ubisoft has escaped the Star Wars fans' evil eye. Not evil eye, good eye, but eye about evil. I'm high, guys. Come on. You got to be impressed. You don't have to, but I would. But Ubisoft hasn't escaped it. Ubisoft is making a Star Wars game, and people seem to be okay letting that happen. Well, this article came out the other day in France. Somebody translated it. It's talking about what actually happened at Ubisoft. It's painting it with a much more detailed brush. This is what happened according to these fine folks that in the article was translated as this. For those of you having trouble getting a translation of the article, here's the gist of it. This is the writer saying this. The creative director, essentially the guy who was number 2 to the entire CEO of the company, was fired for sexual harassment and selling drugs. The head of VR was also fired for trying to cover up the instances. The company had a, quote, boys club culture where 25% of the employees have seen sexual harassment going on. Also, this CEO tried to get coworkers to do drugs with him. After he sold them to them, I assume. A testimony from one of the employees says she let creative director kiss her in order to, quote, get a place in the industry, end quote. Grabbing people's genitals was a common occurrence. In one instance, the CEO made a female coworker grab under his kilt in order to prove to her that it was a real kilt. The last thing the article talks about is Ubisoft wanting to implement blockchain stuff in their video games, despite the fact that the development staff says it would ruin the game's performance. I'm only bringing this up just because, let's not forget, amid the Big Bag Bobby Koticks and amid the Quantum Dream David Cages, there is another Moby Dick out there swimming in the waters named Yves Guillemot. And so far, according to a number of sources, he's not done shit to make his company any better. Let's move forward. Don't do drugs, fellow kid, says Snowfly. Fuck you. No. I will say do drugs. I will say do drugs when it is, me bagpipes. I will say do drugs when you are in a place where it's legal and safe and you feel like you're old enough to do it. I think drugs, certain right drugs, I'm not a heroin guy or anything, but you gotta open your mind, man. If you've grown up in the world and you're one of these, I don't drink, I don't do any drugs, and you say, I don't need it. It's not. Yes, you do. It's not. So many people associate it with this weakness, which is because of propaganda and PR from the Nixon administration on. Come on, you got to know that by now, right? So all I'm saying is, I wish I would have done drugs earlier in my life. I would have tripped the fuck out of them because it's an absolute. Oh yeah, Rob, that's different. Yes, unless the person is susceptible to addiction. Yes, there are people, just like with alcohol, drugs. There are absolutely things that you should not do based on your own constitution. 100%. But anyway, I think it's important to open your mind. Did I hear Sony's stock fell? I did. They lost 20 There's no way that's right. I want to say it was 20 billion, but that makes no goddamn sense. Let me look that up real quick. Then we're going to move on to the next story. 20 billion yen, maybe. Sony stock. Yeah, that's what it says. Sony stock took a $20 billion hit after the Activision deal. Goodness gracious. I'm a religious progressive. I don't do drugs. Am I a bad person? You're not a bad person, but if there really is a God, which clearly you believe there is because you're a religious person, and that's fine to me, whatever works for you. God wants you to do drugs. He made them. They're natural. They're in the environment. I don't mean use synthetic drugs, but there's a reason he put weed in the ground if he's a real person. The only time I ever have felt like there may actually be a God is when I smoked weed for the first time. So I don't know. I don't know about this. I think the church wants to keep you docile and controllable. That is why the church says don't smoke weed. I don't think Jesus ever said don't smoke weed. All right, we're moving on. I got one more quick Ubisoft story real fast. Then we'll get to the meat of it, baby. We'll get to the meat of it. So I just wanted to show this because I just wanted to ask the chat because I'm kind of like, I have never seen this in anything but sports games, and I'm surprised this is still a thing. There was a story the other day. It said Ubisoft extends partnership with a company called Anzu for in-game advertising, right? And this is what the thing they always bring up is sports games and racing games because that's where you see the billboards, right? This is their site right here. It's kind of neat technology. I mean, it's kind of neat that they can swap in and out the billboards using, they don't actually have to put them into the database when the game goes gold. You can swap them out forever as long as the game service is running, but one of the things they say works for these ads. Now, here's what I'll tell you. In a racing game or in a sports game, I don't care because seeing obtrusive ads is kind of part of the experience. Because you're driving by a billboard in a car, or you're watching a sporting event on TV and you see them along the bottom of the stands, right? But any other game, if I was playing a game like Overwatch or Halo or, even the new Saints Row, I don't know if I think it would take me out of the experience. I think it would be distracting. We had Butterfinger and we had Mountain Dew in Jet Moto, and that was the last time I actually believed this horse shit. I believed it because I was like, oh, it'll make it feel like it's grounded. But it actually doesn't make it feel like it's grounded. It pulls you out of the experience because it's advertising. So Abe says I'm sure the metaverse will be the same with ads everywhere. I'm just surprised that that this is still something that companies like Ubisoft are getting into bed with these companies like Anzu to say, yes, this is what, gamers want this. Like it says, realistic, real world campaigns extend into virtual environments, enhance the realism of game worlds. No, it doesn't. No, it fucking doesn't. When does that happen? It's never fucking happened. Yeah, there you go. Zero Signal, Duracell ads in Alan Wake was super distracting. Even in Spider-Man Miles Morales, where you would expect ads to be. I mean, I wonder if it's a no-win situation. Like, if you think of Miles Morales or if you think of Spider-Man 2018, I think it was 2018, you go into Times Square and there's ads everywhere, but they're all made up. They're all pretend ads, right? And it's kind of fun to fly around and read about the crazy movies that are coming into that world and all that stuff. And I think I do prefer that. We did Twisted Metal 2012, and we had fake movie posters up of movies, obviously, that didn't exist. But you still stop and look at them, or at least I do. But if they're real items, I would say the only reason I would want that would be maybe if everything was a real. Like when you watch a movie that's set in Times Square, whatever they put on the screen, everything's real. So it just kind of does ground you. But if everything's fake and there's a billboard for Pizza Hut, you're going to go, what in the goddamn fuck? Yeah, Danny Sullivan says, I like fake ads. Right, I'm with you. Spartan Ghost drops in. He says, Jaffe, here's my support. Stay high, mate. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. I won't stay high, but I am absolutely fucking high right now. And it's really interesting because I usually get really high. And this is the first time that I've been kind of high. And I kind of like it. It's chill. It's much more, but I still struggle to hold thoughts. Let's go to the last story before we get to Bobby Kotick. Here we go. and all that, the Activision nonsense. I just want to tell you something. So welcome to 2022. If you're not familiar with this, it's incredibly morbid. It comes from the UK. It's the death list. The death list, you have to have been following this. This can't be news to most of you out there. But the death list is basically a group of people get together in London. I think they're primarily in London, and they predict who's going to die that year. That is a notable person, right? And every beginning of the year, they always, get hits in the news and shit like that, because it's like, as morbid as it is, death fascinates people, and more importantly, they want to show off how correct they were. Okay. So I'm not going to go through this. This is irrelevant. Go through it if you want to. I'll put the link up. It is fun. It's fun. There's a line in a song, I think it's called Dirty Laundry by Don Henley of the Eagles, that says it's entertaining and fascinating when people die. And it is. I'm sorry if you don't want to admit that, but deep down inside, it is the final greatest mystery. And everybody is rightly so obsessed with it, even if they don't know it. That said, I'm not going to go through all this list, but what it got me thinking was, as I have gotten older, obviously, more and more people are dying that I know, okay? So far, because tragically there was, and I didn't know this guy, but there was a guy in his late 50s who died this week, who was the longtime art director that had worked with Peter Molyneux for a long time. And I never met him. A lot of my friends on Facebook had met him and knew him, and they were posting a lot of like, oh, this is really sad. And last year, we lost, for me, Kelly Flock was a big blow, but most people didn't know Kelly Flock outside of the industry. But it got me thinking when I saw this, it's like, we are going to get to a point sooner than later, because the industry's not anywhere near as big as all these other celebrities, of course. And so I'm like, we're going to get to a point sooner than later where we wake up and there is a shocking news story, right? I mean, we know, if I woke up, and this is what I just want, I'm bringing it up because it's on my mind, do with it what you will. I'm bringing it up because it's on my mind. But if we woke up, tomorrow and the news dropped that tragically Miyamoto had died. I mean, Miyamoto's 70, he's in great health, he's a swimmer. I don't think he's going anywhere very, very soon. But you look at somebody that age, or Peter Molyneux, or even Sid Meier, and you go, yeah, hopefully, that's not going to be happening to those guys anytime soon, but you wouldn't be shocked. But then I started thinking, who would shock the fuck out of me? Who would be one of those like Bob Saget? Not that Bob Saget was a spring chicken, but he was 65 and it didn't come. It came out of the blue for a lot of people, unlike Betty White, right? Who also died that week, right? So it got me thinking, who would I be absolutely shocked to the core? And yeah, there you go. Jacob says, remember when Heath Ledger died months before The Dark Knight came out? That shit was huge, right? That's exactly right. We wake up and find out that Epstein didn't kill himself. Yeah. So Bobby Kotick wouldn't surprise me. Bobby Kotick's a fat fuck. He's in his 60s and he ain't very healthy. He's not long for this world because of his health, would be my guess, but I could be wrong. But I was like, if I woke up and I saw Cliff, here's the big one. The one that would get me to my core the most, even though he's a little older than me, would be John Romero. And that's because I was like, well, why? I wonder why that would shock the fuck out of me. And it's because John Romero, even before I was, I was known enough that he would know who I was always incredibly nice and full of life. And he's just, I mean, I know no one's always in a good mood, but whenever I've encountered him, whenever I've seen him, Romero is just so fucking happy. He just seems like a good, bright spirit, and that would shock me. Cliff Bleszinski, because he's so young, would shock me. I'm trying to think who. I mean, Kojima's talked about his own death before, so it's not as, shocking. But yeah, of course, that would shock me. Ken Kutaragi would not shock me at all. Gabe Newell would not shock me, of course. Fuck you goddamn clown. You want to even get on my radar when it comes to how to run this fucking show, bitch? Let me see a little icon by your name that says you're ponying up the ducats. Otherwise, sit your fucking ass down. Stop farting on people's fucking faces. I can tell you're doing it. I can see you from here. And watch the goddamn show in the order in which it's given to you, you fuckstick. Oh, Oh, he was in Moon Knight. Somebody is saying French actor Gasper. I saw a skier died today from a skiing accident. I did not know that he was in Moon Knight. Tim Schafer. Yeah, probably Tim Schafer would surprise me. Yu Suzuki would not. Miyamoto would not surprise. I mean, these would all be terrible deaths. Of course, for depending on who you're asking, any death is terrible. I'm looking for the ones that would shock the fuck out of me, though. So I would say probably. Oh yeah, I would be shocked. Yeah, can you imagine? Pimp My Shed says I would be shocked if Colin Moriarty died. I mean, if I woke up tomorrow and someone like Dustin sometimes watches this show, if he reached out and said, "Dude, fucking Colin died last night," right? I would be like, "What the fuck?" That would shock the fuck out of me. Remember when the guy from Giant Bomb, Ryan Davis, died? Now, I was not a big Giant Bomb fan. I liked him, though. He was always a nice guy to me, and I appreciated him and liked him. But I know the Giant Bomb community that was really into Giant Bomb, those guys, their community got hit pretty hard. Corey Barlog would shock me. Yeah, not as much as the other ones I've mentioned, but sure, absolutely. John Garvin? No, John's up there. John's overweight. He's 62. I'm not judging the guy. I'm saying we're all, I'm overweight. I'm 50. But you're in that zone if you don't get your shit under control. Ryan Butcher says Colin's death would be a shot to the heart. Absolutely. Yeah, Total Biscuit was hard for a lot of people, Nomad. I didn't know. I didn't listen to him, so I didn't really have any response. Jim Ryan says he'd be shocked if it was me. Sure. I mean, I would too, but yeah, I can't speak to that. You know what I almost did once, and then we'll move on. You know what I almost did once? I almost said, as a marketing ploy for Twisted Metal, and this is when we were making 2012, and this is before we even knew I was going to reveal it with Scott coming out on the stage in an ice cream truck. But I said, we should tell people I died in a car crash. And this was like a year before we revealed the game was in development. And I was talking to marketing about this. I said, let's tell people I died in a car crash. We'll kind of make it sound twisted, like Twisted Metal, but, it won't be so on the nose. People won't get it. And I reveal that I'm alive when we reveal Twisted Metal 2012, right? And I was just like, dude, I have small kids. That's tempting fate. That's too morbid. Don't do it. So I would say, I don't think I would do it, but it was, yeah. Lawyers are like, it's a bad idea, Jaffe. But can you imagine? Remember when people thought John Romero was dead? That's probably where I got the idea from. And Romero didn't go out of his way. It was somebody else who fucking got a picture of him and dressed it up like he would. Remember this? John Romero. Let me show you this picture. I haven't seen it. Oh, come on now. Wrong screen. John Romero. John Romero dead. Here's the picture. I'm going to put it up on your screen. It's not gory or anything. Well, it is. It's got a picture of John Romero in a. Don't get depressed. Come, you know what? We should be able to talk about things without it. Come on. Okay, well, look away if you don't want to see it. It's not gory or anything, but there he is, right? Now, this was not anywhere near being real. Someone faked the whole fucking thing, but John didn't. But that's where I think I got the idea from. All right, that was interesting. Don't be depressed. Don't be depressed. Yeah, Zero says, man, that's such a PS3 era Sony idea. Miss that madness. I would have loved that. Like the time Joaquin Phoenix said he was done with acting, but it was for a movie stunt. Sure, but we all knew that. Okay. I want to talk about Bobby Kotick first. You guys have to have seen this news, but it kind of leads into some other things. Basically, there's more and more evidence. There's more and more evidence that suggests that Bobby Kotick really did not want to get removed from Activision. Whether they got acquired or not, he doesn't like that he's leaving, right? Well, let me tell you this. You may have already seen this, but it just cements what a piece of shit human being this guy is. Bobby Kotick wanted to buy a gaming website to change Activision's public narrative, the report says, including PC Gamer and, more importantly, Kotaku. Think about that. This guy is a fucking liar. He has written emails that he's attributed to other people. He has held back information from the public, allegedly, because he didn't want it to affect, all kinds of shit. I mean, a lot of CEOs do that, but it was stuff that was really kind of nasty, like about the toxicity of Activision. There's no reason to trust this guy. So when his spokesperson comes out today and says, "Oh yeah, that's not true. That's not true." This was in the Wall Street Journal. I'm going to trust the Wall Street Journal a hell of a lot more than I'm going to trust some fucking spokesperson from Activision these days, okay? The Journal says deal-hungry Microsoft had been interested in Activision, Microsoft had long been interested in Activision and had discussed a potential acquisition. Some of those people said, but Mr. Kotick was cool to the idea until Microsoft offered him a graceful exit. The Journal says he was eager to change the narrative, and he wanted to buy a publication to do this with, right? So this guy is a shithole, okay? I don't know what else to fucking tell you. This guy is, it's like, what makes a person become like this? The only thing I can think of is he doesn't see other people as real, or he doesn't see most other people as real. Like, I don't mean that like he sees them as tacos. I mean, I think literally you have to be in a place in your psychology, and in this case, I think damaged psychology. Maybe he's been this way his whole life. You have got to be either such a narcissist, or you've got to be such a, I don't know if the word is sociopath, because I know a lot covers in that, but you have got to be so damaged mentally that you are looking at other people and think you're doing nothing wrong when you lie to them and fuck them over, because to you, they're not really real. And I don't, that's what I'm saying. I don't paint people like you're just evil. No one's just evil in truth. They're just trying to get through their fucking lives. And this guy must have some sort of deficiency. Because to buy I'm not saying he's the only guy who's ever done it, but to buy a company, a newspaper or a website with the expressed interest in, maneuvering journalists in order to make them write stories that put you in a good light, just to have the idea, let alone consider executing it. I'm Bobby, if you're watching, you don't got much else to do these days, baby. If you're watching, Bobby, listen, I don't really hate you. I pity you, because no one is mean. No one is evil. No one is bad. No one is a comic book villain. People are trying to get through their fucking lives, man. And life is great, but life is also chaotic and terrifying. And something must have happened to you somewhere that turned you into someone who just isn't really in touch with who you really are. And in that, you got a lot of money, baby. You're going to have a lot of free time soon, I hope. Get your ass to therapy, man. Fix your fucking shit. Fix your fucking shit, dude. You're too old not to, and you're too fucking rich not to. Doug says, well, who needs due process? If you are suggesting that I am finding him guilty without him having gone through the legal process, I am not accusing him of breaking the law. I am simply judging him as a fellow human on the acts that he has performed according to the press, right? That's all I'm doing. I'm not saying you should be in jail because some random person said you did this and you're innocent until you're proven guilty. That's not what we're talking about. But I don't need due process if I'm responding to what he's actually done. Matt DeMarco thinks he has daddy issues. He very well might. Could be that. All right. Why would he fix something he doesn't think is broken, Clay Mudd says? Because something will come along in his life. Maybe it's losing his company. Maybe he's one of these guys, and we'll talk in a little bit when we get to Jim Ryan about how it's becoming more and more clear how much this company means to him. That maybe this was his identity. Maybe this was everything to him for the most part. And in that, when you lose it, that might be a point where you break and you learn more things about yourself. Imagine a multimillionaire seeing a has-been game developer saying they pity him. What's funny about that, though, is you represent the worst of the capitalist system, Eric. I am sitting here, I mean, I'm not even fucking with you. I told you guys I was high. If you come to this stream and you're expecting a simple throughput, come on now, let's not be morons, But listen to me. Eric says, imagine a multimillionaire seeing a has-been game developer saying he pities him. You're broken if you really think that. And I know you fuck around a lot, so I don't know if you do, but a lot of people do. Right? That having many millions, billions in his case, is more important than being happy with your life, right? Or I don't understand why you immediately assume being rich makes you happy. You sound like somebody who's never had any money. Because when you have money, you very quickly realize that it doesn't solve the problems of the hole that's inside you. You got to do other things for that. Kanye's right when he says having money's not everything, but not having it is. If you're broke as a spoke, that's different. What are we talking about? I'm high, you fuckers. I'm high as a kite. Jaffe needs to make a game about being high. No, I don't think so. Hello, Wolfblood. Is Bacon Magma here? Bacon Magma says, Mr. K, I'll be balling like Kotick. I don't think you will, sir. I don't think you will. Okay. We can still look at multimillionaires and pity their internal sadness and self-doubt. Absolutely, 100%. Why did God of War 2005 and God of War 2018 cause its directors to file for divorce? In my case, I can't speak to Corey's relationship at all. I know Corey. I know his wife on Facebook, and that's it. I've never met her in real life. I can't speak to his situation. My situation was we were married for a very long time, and we were dating, if you include that, much longer. And I think it wasn't that God of War forced me to get divorced. It was that what it allowed me to do was have enough new experiences because of its development and then its success and the things that afforded me, that it did move along the process of divorce for us, because it made us both realize we still loved each other. We're still great friends to this day. She's coming over tonight to watch TV with us. But the relationship as marriage is defined and as love, or intimate love is defined, it was very easy to recognize that had sailed. That had been around for 13 years, and then it was over. So it didn't cause it. It wasn't like my wife at the time was like, grumble, grumble, grumble. You're never home because you're working on God of War. It was more, once God of War was being made and hit, I had these experiences that magnified or amplified or brought into focus, I should say, the rift that had already been forming. Okay. Have I heard the news, the theory, that the girl was a plant to lower stock prices so Microsoft could buy Activision? I mean, yeah, you're saying we're talking corporate war. I mean, I'm going to say no, I don't believe that, and I'll tell you why in just a second. The person who's role-playing Jim Ryan, it's just not funny. I'm not going to have Rob Banya, but I don't know why you think it's funny. Please be funny. If you want to pretend you're Jim Ryan, say something funny. But that's not it. All right, let's move forward. Isn't that mean of me to say, but I'm high? So the truth comes out when I'm high. Okay. I want to talk about this real quick. This is how, okay, we kind of glossed over it yesterday. So I want to bring up the fact that Microsoft in all of the announcements did indeed announce something else yesterday, which is they had made it to 25 million subscribers on GamePass. And at first, when I heard the news, and I did the morning stream yesterday, and I heard the news, and don't get too excited, Rod's all erect, Rob the Mod. I had talked about this, and some people said, oh, well, the last time it was 18 million subscribers, that was like in October. And I was like, damn, that's pretty good. You're talking like 3 months, and they've basically jumped 8 million subscribers, but it turned out when you look into it, no, they announced the 18 million subscribers January 2021. So the next time we heard was a year later, and they basically added 8 million subscribers. Did I say billion? Million, sorry. They basically added 8 million subscribers, which I don't think is very good. I mean, as a guy who adores Game Pass and just thinks Game Pass is fucking phenomenal, I'm surprised that that number isn't higher, especially with Forza and Halo out. But I don't know when they did the numbers, but I assume subscription numbers are relatively easy to acquire. It's not like you have to wait for the retailers to log everything in and shit. And in that, they have to be up to date. So, I mean, I don't think Game Pass is going anywhere. It's still growing. It's still a wonderful service. Yeah, like Joker says, growth is growth. It is, but I'm a little surprised it's not higher, I guess. And Hungry says, I'm surprised it's not higher with PC. I actually got a pop-up ad for Game Pass from my computer, says Selectively Pompous, when I upgraded to Windows 11. Because there's a console ceiling, says Jack Green. Yeah, I mean, it could be that as well, which is maybe one of the reasons they bought King.com, so they could put, Candy Crush and all that shit on Game Pass. I don't know. Considering the install base of the Xbox, it makes no sense why that number is only 25. Yeah, I don't know. All right, well, I just wanted to bring it up, let you know. Okay. Now I want to talk a little bit about Colin Moriarty's response to the acquisition, okay? So, and Colin's not alone. I mean, when there's, and as you guys, if you don't know, and I subscribe to his Patreon, so I get to see like things like Sacred Symbol Plus, and sometimes he will put that out for everybody, but more often than not, it's behind that paywall. Look, I don't want you to not subscribe to me. Of course, I want you to subscribe to me. I'm more attractive, and I'll blow you. But the point, I really won't, but I am more attractive. Come on. But the point is, whatever you may think of Colin Moriarty's politics, of which I don't know, I don't agree with all of them, but I don't know why people are so upset with him about them, but whatever. I like the guy a lot. He's a good dude. But I will tell you, Colin is, I wish I was as smart as Colin about all this shit. I'll go to the mat and say I'm more entertaining than Colin. Yeah, I am. My show is probably more fun to watch. But Colin's show you walk away smarter from. And I would love to get better at doing that with my show. I would love to be as analytically, not correct, but analytically on as Colin is. So if you don't know about his show, go look into it. It's called Sacred Symbols and Last Stand Media. It's really, really good. But anyway, so I was curious what Colin thought. He did a show with Dustin and Chris, his co-host on Sacred Symbols Plus, and talked about his take on it. And I was surprised because I thought he was like a super libertarian, let people alone, let them do what they want, and he is. But I thought that he would sort of be like, no, the deal is the deal. It's capitalism, blah, blah, blah. And he was sort of like that, but he did not like any of it. He thought it was absolutely terrible that this deal would happen. And he's not the only one. I had a guy on my YouTube the other day or yesterday say, is Robert George. He says, say goodbye to games as we know them. Say hello to the dumpster fire microtransaction era in the next 10 years. That's not necessarily what Colin was saying, but he was saying that it's not good for the industry, all this consolidation. And then this guy on NeoGAF today, the future of video games fucking sucks. Consolidation, subservices, streaming, all digital, no physical media, he says. No ownership, sky-high prices, 3 genres, shooters, racing, open world, throw in a yearly FIFA variety. I'm done with modern gaming after this console generation. I'm going retro. It was a good run. Have fun. And so, then you watch Colin's show, and I'm going to put in, if you're curious, here's his website. But if you go watch Colin's show, Colin came out kind of saying a relative similar thing, that this is bad for the industry, blah, blah, blah. And he looked right at the camera and he says, I challenge anyone to tell me why this is good for video games. And so I wanted to do that as we steer our little boat, which I call Flip flop floopsie. That's the name of the boat. I was high, and Brian East came to me in a vision, and he said, why are they talking like GamePass is the only gaming resource out there? I think I have a crush on Haley, what's her name, Sattenfeld. I watched her in Hawkeye, and I found her delightful. I found her delightful, you know? But then, me and the family started watching, Dickinson with her. Goodness gracious, she's my new girlfriend. I gotta call her Seinfeld. That sounds like the show. She is not Top Gun Zero. Shut the fuck up. I'm so tired of that. No, she's like 26, you idiots. God damn. Shut the fuck up. My God. Anyway, Flip Flop Floopsy is the best boat of them all. You goddamn right, sir. You goddamn right. All right. Anyway, the point is, Colin looked, I don't know how I got under her, but Colin, because we're high, baby, but we're not that high. That's good. It's, okay, shh, listen to me. Because what's funny is, shut up, Jim Ryan, who gives a shit? Okay? What's funny is, I don't even know. Fuck you, Top Gun Zero. Top Gun Zero says, I looked it up. She's 11. Listen to me. Let's focus, shall we? So Colin looks in the camera. He says, I challenge anyone to tell me why this is good for the business. And I'm going to tell you two things. I'm first off going to tell you why all the gloom and doom is incredibly stupid. Okay? And it's because I said this yesterday. I'm not gonna beat the same drum, but remember I talked about how every entertainment medium, all the hardcore lovers of that medium get pushed to the margins, and maybe the alt becomes mainstream eventually, but alt music and art films and weird fucking strange films and all this stuff, that stuff, which is the real aficionado palette, does not get put into the mainstream pot, right? And all that's happening in video games, the reason I say it's good is all that's happening in video games. Like if you are one of these guys that the main reason you love games is your big sound system, your big TV, you know, it's all production value and all that, my advice to you would be maybe start getting more into movies, or accept the fact that yes, these games are being made by publishers that are in such a big business now that you can't look to them to have, not that you ever could, but you certainly can't now look to them to have human understanding and characteristics that make them kind people that care about the medium. I do think Phil Spencer loves games. I know Shuhei and Rhodey adore games, but I also know they're running a business. And I know in the case of Phil Spencer, they have elevated to one of these megalomaniac media companies. And clearly they're not done. Not to say Microsoft wasn't, I'm just talking about Xbox. And when you get to the way you maneuver and make decisions changes, right? But so I would say that yes, those games are going to get worse in some ways, microtransactions and all that. But I would say the other thing is, the good thing about it is, as much as it might suck to lose the big production value from as many games as you like, the margins is a great place to be in games, because the people who genuinely love video games and making them in the art form, they're being pushed there as well. The indie space, a lot of people who have this complaint are people who are primarily console gamers. And I totally get it if your diet is third-party big publisher games and first-party games. But if you play along the spectrum, which I highly recommend, you are not worried about creativity going away. You are not worried about single-player games going away. You are not worried about only 3 genres existing. That is absolutely not happening in the medium. It is happening in the console space. And I understand that could be disappointing to some people. But I absolutely do not think that it is affecting the medium, okay? So that is why I will tell you it's it is not a problem. Why I will tell you it's potentially even good. Well, is that the people that really love games are going to be pushed into those margins where they can be much more free than they ever were, right? Most people don't have the Ken Levine 2K Take-Two deal, where he has not unlimited, but a shit ton of runway to figure out his new vision. Most people are like, hey, you're on Call of Duty this year, these next 3 years. Good luck. If you can find a place to sneak in some creativity, go with God, but, don't fuck up Call of Duty, right? So the people who really care about it are going to go to those places where they can really express themselves. And I think we're in for even a more impressive future for those marginal indie games. So that's why it's good. The other reason is you can look at other mediums as some sort of not bellwether, but some sort of cue. Maybe that means the same thing. Because let's just take television. Television is great right now. Okay? Netflix started it. And I know a lot of people, there's a lot of crap on Netflix. Yeah, there is. And there's a lot of amazing shows on Netflix. And I'm not just talking about, Archive 81, which is the new hotness. I'm not talking about Stranger Things, House of Cards, all the big ones. But over the course of the year, we have watched Atypical on Netflix. We're watching Dickinson on Apple TV. We watched this thing with Addie Bryant from SNL. I forget what it was called, but it was all about her navigating the world of dating and stuff, but she's a really big woman. It's all these shows you would not get them on network TV. You would not see people paying for any of these movies or any of these shows because what exists on network TV or what exists in the theaters is the widest net possible. And if you're a hardcore movie fan that you love not just Marvel, but you love Scorsese and Spielberg and Truffaut and all that shit. Truffaut, by the way, on the death list this year. We'll see what happens. Hopefully not. But if you are that kind of person, you are grateful that movies like, what is the thing with the dog that Jane Campion just directed? Everybody's saying is great. Way of the Dog or something is out. All of these, Nomadland last year, all of these movies would not be being greenlit without the need to compete with other subscription services that Netflix kicked off. So, and also, look at Disney. And I appreciate, now, let's just be clear. Let's just take Star Wars. I'm not even going to worry about Marvel because a lot of people love Marvel and I do too, but whatever. Move Marvel aside. Let's take Disney and Star Wars because and I'm bringing like big acquisitions and other companies, okay? Let's take Fox. Big acquisitions can be bad. Of course they can. But remember, these people are still in business to make entertainment that connects and makes a lot of money, okay? And I get that a lot of people thought Force Awakens was boring and a lot of people despised Rise of Skywalker. That's fine. But guess what? I was there as a goddamn grown-up in the movie theaters when Phantom Menace dropped. And we all thought it was shit. Anybody over the age of 12 that didn't think that movie was shit when it first came out wasn't really under the age of 12. They were shit fucking movies, okay? You love them maybe because you grew up with them. Just like I love Flash Gordon. The movie, or I love Clash of the Titans, but it's a shit fucking movie, okay? So Disney's at least making more Star Wars. When I was a kid, the last movie we got to see was 1983. We had to wait till 1990 goddamn fucking 9 for a new Star Wars, okay? Now, you get them on TV, you get them in the movies, you actually get to appreciate and have fun with the brand, and some of them turn out great. Rogue One turned out great. Mandalorian turned out great. Boba Fett's a mixed bag. I haven't watched it yet. Some people love it, some people hate it, but at least you're getting content. And sometimes when you roll the dice enough, you're going to get classics, okay? So I would say to Colin, and I would say to these people that say, show me where this has been good. I think it's been good with Disney. I think it's been good with subscription services that have come up and forced competition amongst themselves, which I hope will happen with Spartacus, in order to get more interesting games made and greenlit. Absolutely 150%. I think it's been good, and I think there is a chance it could be good for business. Do I think Phil Spencer gives a shit? At a human level, sure. I'm not saying Microsoft doesn't just care about money, but they all just care about money. And what I'm saying is the customer will drive these decisions. A lot of people act like these people are making these decisions and you have no power over the decisions. And I'm just kind of like, just don't buy it and start buying indie games. They'll wake up. They'll realize they've gone too far afield, just like Kathy Kennedy. I have a lot of respect for Kathy Kennedy, who runs Lucas, but I'll tell you what, you goddamn right, she heard loud and clear because of the box office that Rise of Skywalker wasn't doing it. Solo wasn't doing it, and I thought Solo was great. So she said, okay, it's too much Star Wars in the channel. Let's pull back, right? That's what a business does. But everybody acts as if businesses just kind of do things and they don't do it at the will of the customer. Of course they do. And you're an idiot, Eric. Indie games are mostly garbragio. I get crap. You're just simply absolutely wrong. You're simply absolutely wrong. Let me get some super chats real quick, and then we'll move the fuck on. I want to talk to you guys about this SEC filing about the Activision deal and what it says. But first, wrong goddamn screen. Here's some super chats. Thank you guys. You know I appreciate it. Very generous and very courteous. I don't even remember which ones I've read. So if it turns out I've already read it, I apologize. Spartan Ghost, thank you. He says, here's my support, Jaffe, stay high. I think I did read that. Jacob Martin says, just want to get a perspective on this. Netflix started in 1997. They started streaming in 2007. By 2003, they had 35 million members combined. Oh, you're saying you wanted to give some perspective, meaning that they took basically 8 years to get to just 10 million more that Game Pass got to in about 4 years, is what you're saying. So you're just saying the growth is I mean, yeah, you may be right. I mean, that's not a bad point if that's the point you're making, because I can tell you that not everybody, like I remember it was like even 4 years ago. I mean, they still have them at the grocery store, but I don't see anybody using them anymore. They had the red boxes, and up to 4 years ago, we would watch lines for them on a Friday afternoon for families getting movies for the weekend. And it was like, you're waiting in line like 45 minutes to use the red box. By the time you get up to the front, you're probably not going to have the movie you want. Why don't you just go home and stream it? But a lot of people just didn't have the ability to stream then. And now 4 years later, I don't see anybody using it. So you have a good point. That slow upgrade could be everything from lack of communication about what the system actually is, what Game Pass actually is, to people who want it, but they know it doesn't, they can't download fast enough. Or it could just be a bad service. It could just be that I'm in the minority and most people don't actually want it. But I don't think that's the case. But thanks for the super chat. John Weston says, again, thank you, buddy. He says, no, that was Jacob Martin. This is John Weston. John Weston says Netflix had already spent $8 billion in the first half of 2021 on content, with a plan to spend an extra $17 billion by the end of 2022. I appreciate the facts and figures, and it doesn't sound wrong to me. What I don't understand about people when it comes to things like, let me just say this. Let me just fucking say this. I don't believe the pearl clutching. I would rather someone say, I just don't like subscription services, than try to say, oh, I like it, fine. The business just doesn't work. Because it clearly works, because you've got many educated people running numbers. And not only at Netflix, but then you've got educated people over at HBO and Disney Plus and Paramount Plus and Shudder and on and on and on. All these companies that say, we want to be in that business now that Netflix has proven it works. And what you're telling me is the internet seems to know more about the numbers of these individual companies, these private companies. No, they're public companies. Well, they're publicly traded, but they're private companies. You guys know more, or people on the internet know more about how they should do their business and what is sustainable and what isn't, or what will become sustainable down the line, more than the people who they hire from Yale and Harvard and Stanford and all these great schools of the world to come and be their economic help. I struggle with that idea. I'd rather you just say, I think it's shitty. Lord Garth, thank you, buddy. He's been a member for 6 goddamn months. He has put up with me for 6 goddamn months. That's not easy. That's not easy. We'll always have the Star Wars Christmas special, he says. Yeah. I mean, shit. We got the Star Wars Christmas special from fucking goddamn George Lucas. It wasn't all roses back in the day, people. Last super chat for right now. This is from my good friend Mavizzle. He says, hey, Jaffe, I still see people using Redbox in the hood. Yeah, I mean, they're still out there. The boxes are still out there. Cinematic, thank you for the super chat, buddy. I hope you're doing well. Check out his show as well. There's some really weird as fuck guesty interviews. Cinematic Pastures, Jaffe, are you pumped for the next Indiana Jones game? I am pumped for anything Indiana Jones. I made a video about people not giving a fuck about Indiana Jones anymore. I still think that's pretty true. And as much as I am excited about the new movie, because if it was Spielberg directing again, I would be like, yeah, I'll see it, but it's going to be shit. But it's James Mangold, who is a phenomenal fucking director. And I don't think he steps up to the plate unless he's got a script he actually believes in. So as much as it's bizarre as fuck to see 80-year-old Harrison Ford playing an action hero, I mean, I don't even think that's exactly what he's going to be in this new movie. I'm excited because of the director and what he brings to it. But I will say the game, I think the game's not a good idea because Indiana Jones doesn't resonate with enough of an audience for what I'm assuming they're going to spend. Indiana Jones was never the top of the food chain. The only time Indiana Jones was the top of the box office was the first movie, Raiders, in 81. I remember, this is how fucked up I was. This is why I yell at fanboys. I remember in 89, Last Crusade, which I thought was a pretty good movie, comes out, and it lost to Batman. And I was so fucking pissed. And I think my brother was like, why do you care? It's not your money. And I couldn't answer him because deep inside I'm like, because my own personal, self-image is tied up and all kinds of fanboy shit. That's why when I see it, like recognizes like, motherfucker. When I see it in some of y'all, that's what I'm talking about. Because you look back years later and you cringe like a motherfucker and you go, I can't believe I gave a fuck about how well Spielberg's movie did. Like that mattered a fucking lick to me. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, the game I'm pumped for. I wouldn't have greenlit it, but I'm very pumped for the game. Yes. Yeah, Harrison Ford is an archaeological relic himself. He belongs in a museum. That's right. Are they using CG to make him look younger? Yeah, you know what they're using, Christopher Gorley, which is actually very, very cool. I'm gonna put Bacon's up here because I want to get to this in a second. You know what they're using, which is very, very cool, is more and more they're starting to use incredibly lifelike masks. So if you Google, let me just say Indiana Jones, and they put them on like stuntmen and other people and stuff like that. And then I do think they are able to touch them up in CG as well. So Indiana Jones shooting mask stuntman. There was one that came out that showed the mask, and it was like, wow, that's fucking amazing. Let's see. Let me see if I can. And then obviously deep fakes, but let me see if I can find it for you real fast and show it to you. Well, here's the stunt guy. He doesn't have he's got the top of the mask. Let me find it. Look at that. That was Harrison Ford playing old Indy. And that's something. That would be great if they de-aged him. I'm down with the de-aging, but so I mean, this is what he really looks like. He looks great for an 80-year-old man, but I want to find the stuntman picture if I can very briefly. Then we'll get back to games. But all I can tell you is they're using a realistic mask. Is this it? Is this it? Maybe. No. Although you can see he's got dots on his face. They're gonna do CG to it later. This guy's holding the mask, which you can't see that well here. But anyway, the point is, I think they're going to do a lot to make him do stuff that he actually can't still do, which is pretty fucking cool. All right, I want to get to Bacon's question real fast, then we'll get to this SEC report. Bacon says, are you telling me that educated people don't make bad decisions? Sounds like you don't know ish. I think he means shit, just like the internet. You would be absolutely right, Bacon, if what you said is what I said. I didn't say, even this, you guys, hang on, let me just show you this real quick. Yeah, there's Ford, and you can see the little dots all over. So they're going to probably do some de-aging. Absolutely. Just fucking recast the guy. Get a new Indiana Jones. Jesus fucking Christ. Anyway, so to Bacon's point, though, it's not the idea that these guys don't make mistakes. I get that. But what I'm saying to you, Bacon Magma, and what I'm saying to people who bring up what you're bringing up, is this idea that, sure, people make mistakes, people get it wrong, but you would have to say that Microsoft, one of the biggest companies in the entire world, doesn't have the book smarts to get it right, or at least get it right enough that they think they can see a path to significant, meaningful profitability. And they've failed before. Every company fails. But then you turn around and you say, well, okay, so maybe they got it wrong. But Netflix got it wrong. HBO Max got it wrong. Spartacus is getting it wrong. Amazon Luna got it wrong. It's like, yes, everybody can get something wrong, but the collective of media companies going all in on streaming sub-services, they can't all be wrong, and you're right. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Chris Pratt would be a much better Indiana Jones, I think. Jacob Martin, thank you, buddy. He says, where did the girl go who developed the sex minigame in God of War end up in this life? Did you just hire interns and say good luck? No. That was Ashley Morgan, who is not, I don't think she's currently in the industry anymore, but she might get back into it. But she was a great designer, and she was a great technical implementer as well. So the way it worked was I had the idea. I didn't need Shannon's approval, but I certainly sought her opinion often because I think she's really smart and creative. I pitched to Shannon. I wrote it up. She read it. I said, is this dumb or is this cool? And I remember she's like, it's kind of both. I'm like, yeah, I like it because it presents the character as who I want the character to be. Fuck it, let's go. And then Ashley was the one, I don't know why, was assigned that task by Shannon or Whitney Wade or whatever. And I remember her having a lot of fun doing it. She went to town on that fucking thing. She did a great job. She's awesome. Wonderful lady. Wonderful fucking lady. Okay. Okay. So there's this thing when a big enough company buys another company, and I'm not saying this like I'm educated. I looked this up before the show because I was curious what the Electronic Code of Federal Regulations, Title 17, Commodity and Security Exchange. This is 17 CFR 240.14a-12. Solicitation before furnishing a proxy statement. What this is I guess whenever you buy a company, you have to basically file this. It's defined as a prominent ledger in clear plain English language, advising security holders, stockholders, I assume, to read the proxy statement when it is available because it contains important information basically about the merger. Okay, so this was released today, and I'll put it in the chat because it does make for interesting reading. But you can go there and read this if you're interested. But the one I wanted to focus on, though, was where they ask, here it is right here. So there's all these kind of questions like, what does this mean for employees? Why are you acquiring Blizzard? Can I apply to other roles in Activision Blizzard if I work there? Blah, blah, blah. How does this is the one that stood out, though, because a lot of people are taking some of this to mean, oh, Call of Duty is staying. These words are very specific, and they are now in a legal document, or not a legal, well, it's a legal document, but it's also, if they are lying to their investors, they can get in a shit ton of trouble. So let's be clear. This language is very carefully chosen. How does the transaction impact existing partner agreements, i.e. Sony, Google, Apple? Will the transaction change what we're able to offer our partners or how we will structure our agreements? Here's the answer. We will honor all existing commitments post-close. As with Microsoft's acquisition of Minecraft, we have no intent to remove any content from platforms where it exists today. We would be open to discussion to enter into an agreement to confirm our intent when it is appropriate to do so, right? So the first part and the second part kind of contradict each other, but perhaps not really. We will honor all existing commitments post-close is very easy to understand what it means. It means if we've already got a contract with you, we're not going to pull out of that. If Xbox and or Activision, I'm not entirely sure who's speaking. I think this is Microsoft speaking. Xbox, if they already have a deal with Apple to do this, or Google, or even Sony, that gets, even if it's a deal that goes into the year 3000, that deal will be respected. That's an obvious thing. Will this change what we're able to offer our partners, though, when it says, as with Microsoft's acquisition? See, if you got rid of the first part of the sentence and said, we have no intent to remove any content from platforms where it exists today, that's a little bit vague, right? That's a little bit vague because they're going, hey, Call of Duty Vanguard, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War 3 or whatever the fuck they were on last year. Yeah, that's on your system. We're not taking that away. We're not taking that off the store, blah, blah, blah. But we certainly might be putting out brand new games that don't appear. But then they bring up Minecraft, though. They say, as with Microsoft's Minecraft, acquisition of Minecraft, we have no intent to remove any content from platforms. That's still giving themselves a lot of fucking room. Because Minecraft as a game, yes, it's continually updated, but Minecraft suddenly didn't disappear from the Sony store. But Minecraft Dungeons is an exclusive to Xbox GamePass, right? And so I do think, actually, if you really take it at exact language, they are absolutely saying the exact same thing they kind of said about Bethesda, is it's going to be a case-by-case basis. And I think what most people think is they'll leave Warzone alone because it'll be a cash cow for everybody. But all the future Call of Duties and things will go direct to Xbox. That language allows for that, absolutely. These games are going exclusive for new releases, says Christopher Gorley. I mean, I think a lot of it depends on a number of things. If I were Phil Spencer and I had to make the decision today, that would be a tough decision because it really depends on, does Sony have competition, right? Is Sony competition? We talked about this briefly yesterday. Is the new Rainbow Six director working with Guerrilla's Shooter a fucking beast of a game? And when that comes out, Microsoft is like, shit, this kicks the fuck out of Halo. That's our exclusive. We're going to keep Call of Duty. Right? We're going to keep Doom over here because there's no fucking way we're going to let them have all those great shooters. Okay, wait. So Minecraft Dungeons, Jack Green says, is multi-platform? I thought it was exclusive. Yeah, all you guys are saying it's not. Okay, well, I was wrong then. But even still, I appreciate you correcting me on that. But even still, though, okay, well, then it gets a little more confusing. As with Microsoft's acquisition of Minecraft, so I don't really know what that means then. Because if what you guys are saying is true, and I'm inclined to assume it is, then everything they've done with Minecraft so far has been for everyone. So are they saying, yeah, so I don't know how to read this, but maybe look, I guarantee you it's intentionally written to be vague. That's no doubt, because it's in a fucking document that could get them sued if they are found to be lying to their investors. Magic Circle says, I don't think it'll be exclusive overnight. They will risk investment margins after shelling out such numbers. Yeah, unless they just want to see Game Pass. They think that's a bigger fish to fry, and they want to see Game Pass subscription numbers go through the fucking roof. Paulo says, Minecraft is a game as a service. I expect Warzone to keep being supported, but new Call of Duties after will be exclusive. Yeah, that's what I think, but we'll have to fucking see. Well, yeah, Quake Remaster is also on PS4. Yeah, but that's just kind of a tip of the hat. That's not really, that's not like a big deal. Okay. Minecraft is not a AA game? Oh, come on. Oh, I see. Well, it's not in terms of gamers, core gamers, no. Makes a hell of a lot more money than any AAA game I can think of except Call of Duty Online. It's a service. Not Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto. Fuck you, Novodamus. Well, Novodamus, you're a lawyer. You tell me. Do you agree that this is vague? I'm not going to say where you're a lawyer at, but you're a lawyer. Do you agree that they could go, this language allows them to go either way? Is that a correct statement coming from as a legal professional listening to a layperson who's high as a kite right now? Am I correct in saying this statement on this document filed to investors in order to meet this legal requirement, SEC requirement for Rule 14A-12 or whatever? Am I correct in saying that this language means it could go either way and they're not committing either way? Tea Time Writers, while we're waiting for our free legal advice, Jim Ryan never talked to the gamer, only the shareholder. Rather than focusing on the creation of amazing experiences you can't get anywhere else, like Nintendo, Ryan only cares about profits. Well, they all only care about profits. Their job is only to care about profits. And the day you officially become a man or a woman, it most certainly is vague, and it is intentionally vague, says Novodamus. Okay, thank you for that. When you become a man or a woman, you will recognize that none of these people, even though individually they care. A lot of them do. A lot of them don't. I don't know if Jim Ryan goes home and plays games. I would doubt it, but I don't know. But their job is to care about profit first and foremost. And the good news for that is in caring about profit, they, as a side effect, care about the company and the customer, right? Because the company's only as strong as the customers showing up and buying their shit. The problem that you guys really have, or some of you guys really have, is not the companies following the profit. It's the fact that your fellow gamers who are not as hardcore as you don't have the same standards for games as you. And so they're following the profits. They're following the majority of their customers. The majority of their customers are not watching shows like Gabbin and Games. They're not even watching big fucking shows like, Kind of Funny and Colin's Last Stand or going to IGN. They're not on those sites. Doesn't matter. Okay. But anyway, there you go. So this is out. I want to talk now about this issue with, I want to talk about Jim Ryan and how Jim Ryan's actions, I have no proof of this, but I don't think, and I haven't seen a lot of people talking about this, I don't think that Jim Ryan comes out of this acquisition looking good. And I don't mean because, oh shit, they just stole one of the golden gooses of gaming's away from PlayStation. I mean more personally, right? Because I want to take you back in time, not very long. So the first guy to come out that was an industry player and speak out against all of the Blizzard Activision shit was Phil Spencer. And this was November 18th, okay? The very next day, Jim Ryan comes out. I think, or maybe Jim Ryan may have gone first. Jim Ryan went first, the 17th. The next day, Phil Spencer comes out. But the first day, Jim Ryan was critical of it. They have not done enough to address a deep-seated culture of discrimination and harassment. He said something like, we do not believe their statements of response properly address the situation. So he wasn't happy and he went public to make that clear. The next day, Phil Spencer says he's disturbed and deeply troubled, and he went a little further and said he's going to reevaluate their partnership and blah, blah, blah. Okay. So what's interesting about this is if you look at some of the timeline, there's a very good chance that when Phil Spencer issued this statement, they were circling Activision or they were already in heavy negotiations, right? Because Activision, this came out today, Activision Blizzard's considered other offers before the Microsoft deal, right? So the word is they went to Facebook and said, do you want to buy us? There was a little bit of a talk about, do we want to merge with EA, I think. And it sounds like there might have been one other big company they talked with. So it wasn't like Microsoft came to them on Christmas Eve and said, let's do a deal in 2 weeks, right? I don't think. But it's been going on. And I bring it up because Microsoft had been trying to buy these guys for a while. The stock was hurt because of what was happening. And Bobby Kotick did not want to sell to Xbox because for a while it sounded like, according to this reporting, he was not going to be guaranteed a seat at the table. He was going to be kicked out of his company. And so he was running around, he may not have been, but his lawyers were running around trying to figure out if someone else could buy them because he wanted to stay, right? So it says, it's not entirely clear how Blizzard arrived at Microsoft's deal if Kotick and other execs were working behind the scenes to find another investor. It's not clear why Blizzard appears to have originally been against making a deal with the Xbox maker. It's possible Kotick was looking elsewhere to try and help raise the company's stock, is that he knew part of the deal with Phil Spencer would ask him to leave once it was finalized, okay? And there's some other words in here where it's like he talking about how he really just doesn't want to, it says, I should have highlighted this. I'm sorry. I was not playing on streaming today, so I'm not totally prepared, and I apologize for that. I want to read you this line, though. It's important. The publication reported that sources told it that both companies involved in yesterday's merger, Bobby Kotick would leave his post as part of the deal. It was part of the deal. It's possible that's one of the reasons Activision Blizzard chief reportedly didn't want the acquisition to go through. While he has pushed a positive outlook on the merger, he's also fought over the last few months to keep his job. All of these stories don't guarantee, but it kind of points to the fact that when Phil Spencer said what he said about Activision, he already knew what was coming, okay? And in that, what he said was absolutely right. Phil Spencer, I don't know what he would have done if this deal wasn't in play. But what he said and what he has done line up. They don't line up the way anybody that wasn't in the know thought. They line up more in a, well, yeah, here's how we dealt with our relationship with Activision. We bought them. We're getting rid of Bobby Kotick, and we're bringing in, Phil Spencer even said this part, we're bringing our inclusive decision-making process from Microsoft and all the lessons we've learned to them as a company and to their culture, right? So whether it was luck or whether Phil Spencer meant what he said because he knew this deal was coming, he's in the clear karmically as far as I know. The one that isn't so much in the clear now is Jim Ryan, though. Well, yeah, Top Gun says, what does this have to do with Jim Ryan? Well, you tell me. So you've got two executives of the big video game companies. I know Nintendo, they didn't say anything, but they're off in their own world. We should discuss that one day and why that is. But you got Jim Ryan and Phil Spencer talking about it. Jim Ryan said they haven't done enough. He basically makes it clear they're not pleased with their partner in a number of situations, Activision, right? Well, okay, so that means what? That means either you need to make a demand on Activision or withhold something from them until they get their shit together, or you need to just be open about the fact that it's like, yeah, they haven't done enough to change their culture and all that, but oh well, that's business, let's move on. And if it's the former, he should do it. If it's the latter, this clearly points itself out to just be a PR move. Because if Jim Ryan clearly cared about how bad the culture at Activision was, he didn't do anything. Phil Spencer did something. Now, I know that Phil Spencer could easily be, breathing a sigh of relief going, thank God for that deal, because I wouldn't have been able to put up or shut up here. What am I going to do? Not ship Call of Duty? Right? But in Jim Ryan's case, what Christopher Gorley says, I think it's a reach. What is a reach? There is no reach. There is no reach. Jim Ryan literally said they've not done enough to address a deep-seated culture of discrimination and harassment. We do not believe their statements, which was written by Bobby Kotick, of response properly addressed the situation. There's no reach. Jim Ryan basically criticized this company for incredibly important things, incredibly hurtful, harmful, toxic, unacceptable things, but he's not taking any. What is the reach? There's no reach. Mike Leon says it's a reach. This is actually what happened. There's nothing to reach. I'm telling you that Ryan complained, but he didn't do anything. Zero says, what were they supposed to do? Buy the company? No. But then don't say anything. Or you guys act like Mr. Pancake says Jim Ryan didn't have $70 billion, though. I know. I know. What I'm saying is, if you're going to stand there, here's what you don't get to do. You don't get to say it's a reach without explaining how it's a reach, because you're simply fucking wrong. Okay? If you're going to stand there and say, I'm disappointed in this company and their culture and it's unacceptable and blah, 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 and then do nothing except continue to work with them to make them money, it's not a reach to say that you don't have the morality or the scruples or the moral fiber that most people would think you have after releasing a statement like this. That's not a reach. Jim Ryan wanted to bring the problem to attention. The reason Jim Ryan released a report was the problem had been brought to everybody's attention. I love this chat. Jaffe gets upset and they all push to get his goat. Fuck you, Jacob, you piece of shit. Bobby K's getting punished with those hundreds of millions of dollars. No, but he is in the sense that he's being kicked out of his company and he can't do his damage anymore. Well, okay, yeah, well, Doug, there you go. then basically, yeah. So Doug's question is, well, what else are they going to do? Quit doing business with them? You still buy products from China? Whenever I don't have to, I don't, and I'm not a goddamn multi-billion-dollar company either. Okay? And if you stand there and you say, just don't say anything. What did Capcom say? What did Tommy Tallarico of Intellivision say? What did anybody else? What did Mark Zuckerberg say? No one said anything else. Don't say anything. But if you're going to sit there and posture about how this is unacceptable, and then when the rubber meets the road, you're not really going to do anything, and you're not willing to take a financial hit, you don't get to not be judged by the eye of Jaffe. You have been judged, Jim Ryan. Make up for your evil ways or run the risk of burning in hell, which means when you die, you will be respawned in a perpetual game of the PlayStation 1 launch title Lair. And just like the game ran at 8 frames a second, you will live your afterlife at 8 fucking frames a second. You got a little bit of time left according to the death list. I don't know if that's true. I'm not sending a threat. Goddamn, don't come for me, FBI. I'm talking literally about this, the John Romero story and the death list. Come on, FBI, you knuckleheads. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. You need to give money to have real moral fiber. Yeah, I guess so. Did Sony know about the sell, says Hungry? I doubt it. I did reach out to some people at Activision yesterday, and I said, did you guys know? And they were like, fuck no. We had no fucking idea. And I said, well, how are you guys feeling? And both of them were like, we're hopeful. We'd like to believe this will be for the best, and there's a lot of things that suggest it will be, but we have no fucking clue. We have no fucking idea. I'm high. Fuck you. I've not made Jim Ryan into a boogeyman. Nothing's wrong with Jim Ryan other than the fact that I'm pointing out reality to you, man. It doesn't mean he's the devil, but come on. You gonna talk about this shit? Then be willing to, Montana. I'm not bringing Tommy Tallarico up because he's at the level of these other CEOs. I'm bringing him up because I'm saying from Zuckerberg to Tallarico to a small indie developer, no one said anything. Jim Ryan did. Phil Spencer did. Ink sleeve. I assure you, I'm not. I don't. My job is not to convince you, and I don't know if you're trolling, but I get people a lot of times that will say that because I criticize Jaffe, or because I criticize Sony. Jaffe criticizes Sony. I must be mad at Sony. Sony was nice as fuck to me and generous, and they gave me multiple chances, and they funded my companies, both of them. They were right to cut Bartlett Jones loose because we had made a big fucking flop. I would have liked for them, now I don't, I'm glad, but at the time I would have liked for them to say, you know what, let's give you another shot. But I get it. No, I am absolutely not mad at Sony. There are people at Sony that I think are morons, but it's certainly not the people we were dealing with. Okay. Let us move on. What is this story? Yeah, we talked about that. Bobby Kotick. Yeah, we talked about that. All right. And then when is this? That's tomorrow. There you go. That's your Gabbin and Games. I told you it would be a short one. It's not short. We talked for 2 hours. I was high. I'll talk to you guys in the chat for a little bit, but I will be back streaming tomorrow, normal time, 5 o'clock, and back Friday. We're trying to make it work every single goddamn weekday at 5 o'clock. I'll be here for you like a warm fucking weighted blanket. You know what I was looking up? I love this pipe so goddamn much. And I went online today and I started looking up pipes because I was like, hey man, I would like more of those in my life, And I'm looking up the pipes, and there are such ornate pipes in the world, my friends. Hang on, let me bring this screen up. That's not the screen I want. And I was just like, man, I gotta get me another I want an ornate one, but I go to look at the prices. These are like $800, $1,000. But there's this beautiful ornate pipe that has like a wizard's head carved in it. And when you blow the smoke out of it, it comes out of the wizard's nose and shit. Think about this. I thought about this last night. I got this pipe. I got 2 of them. This one is from Lord of the Rings, but I have another one that has Sweet Tooth on it. That is from, they're not called the Game Sauce. It's a podcast I was on, Game Daily, I think. Really good fellas over there. They also do comedy skits and stuff. They're, I think, in the UK. And we were just talking about pipes, and they made 2 custom for me, and I was very appreciative. And I'm actually waiting for these, the long thing to come in the mail, because I broke it chewing on it. So I ordered like 6 of them, and they're coming in the mail Friday. But anyway, yeah, so I was thinking about smoking. Now, I smoke from time to time weed. I do more edibles than smoke it. Never smoke cigarettes. I'll smoke a cigar once every 5-6 years. I really like it. But, you know, I don't want to get addicted, and I so far haven't. So I'm not a smoker, okay? But I don't know why this hit my head last night, but I'm going to sleep, and I started to think, I get why smoking is cool. Right? Because it's like, why is smoking cool? It fucks up your lungs, fucks up your fingernails, all this shit. Smoke comes out of you. That's what's cool. Think about that. I know why it hit me. It wasn't last night. It was today. I'm high. I'm watching Colin Moriarty's show on Sacred Symbols Plus. And Colin Moriarty does his talk, and then he passes the mic over to, I think it was Dustin. And he's got a little vape pipe. I don't know if he's smoking nicotine or whatever the fuck he's smoking. And he goes... And I look at him, and there's this thing of smoke, like, you know, back in the fake 1800 seance days, like ectoplasm. This fake thing of smoke whoosh, coming out of his body. And it was the first time my brain was able to put together the idea of, well, of course smoking is cool. Smoke comes out of your fucking body. That's cool. That's like you're a parade float or a special effect. All right, well, we can do a little Q&A, a little chat, whatever the fuck you want to talk about for a little bit, and then I'll let you go. I'll let you go on with your life. You can't leave until I tell you. I've cast a spell. I'm not a big drinker. Cyclown says it'll give you a new appreciation for whiskey. I just, I've never really liked alcohol. I'm certainly not opposed to it. I like the effects of alcohol, but I think it just tastes terrible. The only alcohol I've ever enjoyed that I was like, damn, this tastes fucking awesome. Sony flew me out to Chicago to a sales meeting. I was still a tester. And they flew me out to Chicago, to demo Last Action Hero, Sega, Game Gear, Genesis, and SNES. Okay. I don't know why they didn't fly the producer, but I was happy to go. Well, first off, okay, so I was going to stay overnight, okay? So I get to the hotel before I go into the meeting. I get to the hotel, and I check in, and they say something about, like, we'll send your clothes up. We'll put them in the opposite closet of Mr., I don't know, Fredrickson. I'm like, who the fuck is Mr. Fredrickson? And the lady at the desk says, that's the person that you're rooming with. And I'm like, I ain't rooming with shit. I'm 23 motherfucking years old. It's bad enough I got a roommate back in LA. I'm not going to room with somebody like I'm fucking bosom buddies Tom Hanks and this bullshit. Fuck you. I rescheduled my flight to go home. Turned out he was in the room, but he was checking out. It would have been my room because Sony paid for it. I'm like, what am I, in camp? I'm not rooming with somebody, you fuck. But anyway, the point is I go into the meeting. I'm going to get to the drink. I go into the meeting, and I do the thing, and then they all hand out champagne. And now that champagne was like fucking candy, man. If I didn't have to catch a cab, because these were cabs back then, I would have sat there and drank the whole goddamn bottles of it, because it was fucking delightful. But most alcohol, not for me. It just doesn't taste good, man. I used to be really into rum, but it was one of those drinks that I got so fucking drunk on in college one night, graduation, that I didn't graduate, my friends did, that I can't even smell rum anymore. It makes me fucking sick. What is Morgan's theory? Morgan's theory is no one eats healthy bacon, least of all you. Well, that's probably true. That's probably true. John Flattery says, I've never drunk before. I'm 31 and I've never had an interest. But man, I do love my sweets. I understand, but I hope you do some mind-altering drugs from time to time. It's good for you. It's good for your soul. It's good for your soul. Jason says, I don't think Apple would buy Sony. They already made enough on phone gaming and have tried and failed console gaming several times. Somebody pointed out to me, and I had heard this before, Jason WB. Hello, Jason WB. It's good to see you, man. I had heard this several times before, that it is very rare that Japan's government will allow a Japanese company to be acquired by anyone other than a fellow Japanese company. So it doesn't mean it's impossible for Apple to buy Sony, but when somebody mentioned that to me in the chat, I was like, oh, fuck, I forgot about that. So it's possible, but I assume if anyone's going to buy Sony, it's going to have to come from inside in Japan if there's a good chance of it going through. I assume. I don't know this stuff, but somebody, if that rule is hard and fast, at which point I'm trying to think, what are the Japanese companies that can go head-to-head with Tencent and Microsoft and Google and Amazon? I don't know of any, but I'm probably just not thinking of them. I'm sure they're there. So, Colin Moriarty was on Joe Rogan, says Jacob Martin. I remember that. That's wild. What made him so popular? I've never seen gamers on there before. Well, Cliff has been on Joe Rogan, and then if I remember correctly, Colin met Joe Rogan through Dave Rubin. So when the whole Life Without a Woman kind of funny thing went down, and you realize the first day Colin was off the show, because what day was that? Because basically I was supposed to go out to Kind of Funny and shill Drawn to Death. And then that day or the day before, it's like, oh yeah, shit broke with Colin, or the day before, and it was like, yeah, we're not really doing any of that right now. We'll reschedule. By the time that was all blown over, we had already shipped the fucking game. But anyway, I think he met him through Dave Rubin, who was kind of a conservative, not like crazy conservative, but he's more of a even-keeled kind of guy, at least what I've heard him say. I haven't watched him much. And then I think he made the intro to Rogan. And Rogan and Colin had a show together. And then I think also, Cliff has been on. And then Elon Musk is a gamer, but that's not why he was on. Joe Rogan doesn't like Dave Rubin anymore. Yeah, I don't really follow all this stuff. Next news, Xbox buys Jaffe podcast. You know who Xbox should buy? If you're watching, Phil Spencer, and I know you are. Come on now. You don't fucking fool me, boy. If you're watching, no, I know Colin was on because of the joke, John Barnett, but I think the introduction, he went on Dave Rubin first. And then I remember them talking about it is why. I think he mentioned on Rogan's show that he met Rogan through Dave Rubin. So, but who knows? Who cares? But yes, he was on it. And Carmack was on. Right, there you go. This is what Xbox should buy. Phil Spencer, listen up. If you want to get in the fanboys' craw, which you don't, what you really want is them to come over to your side. But if you really want to fuck with them, just for fun, you guys should put out a press release tomorrow and say that you guys are bringing Kevin Butler in to do ads for GamePass. Can you imagine how pissed gamers would be? I assume the legal shit is up where Kevin Butler can't appear in any other video game commercials other than Sony. I don't think it was like a forever deal. May have been. Otherwise, I think they should do it just because it would be so funny to watch the internet just explode. And I'm not a fanboy. I don't love Xbox. They're fucking consoles. I don't give a fuck. I just like the entertainment. I like the chaos. A hot take from social media was Sony to completely drop everything but PlayStation, rename the company, and go 100% gaming. Why? I mean, I hear you, Andreas, but why? Hello, Salam. Toyota could buy PlayStation. Is Toyota bigger? Is Toyota bigger than Play? I don't fucking know. Probably, right? Speaking of Carmack and Romero, you should play Brutal Doom. Isn't that hard because it's called Brutal? I can't do that shit. Xbox should not buy Shuhei. They should hire him. They should hire Rhodey. They should hire Shannon. Shannon's not even working at a company right now. So it's not like they'd be poaching her. They may have made her an offer. I've never asked her point blank, but they should. Sony's not going to Sony's not going to combat Xbox and Game Pass. The gaming industry is working together against mobile. Console games will be accessible to everyone from Xbox. Yeah, I don't know. Jaffe, is this the first person to pronounce my name right the first time? Well, how else do you pronounce your name? Jaffe, how do you deal with chaos? I tend to agree with it. I like it. I mean, it depends how you define chaos, but if we are being... No, Shannon did not screw up Eternal. Shannon is happier now than I've seen her in a long time. Once again, our sick society tells you real happiness comes from money and owning shit and being societally successful. Not true. Shannon Studstill is happier now, taking pictures of her butterflies and going on walkabout and playing with her fucking dog and kids than she was running fucking Santa Monica towards the end. And I think she would, if she would ever fucking come on my show, she could tell you that to your fucking face. Jacob says, I want to drop some good podcasts like yours and Colin's I can listen to while delivering DoorDash Grubhub. You're asking a question, but it doesn't read like a question, so I don't understand. The movie stream, I think, is Saturday night, Hungry Adventures, and here's what I will tell you. Hello, Mo. Here's what I will tell you. Was I in the middle of a story? I want to finish the story. Yeah, that's why she went to Stadia. She figured, okay, they made me an offer. I wasn't getting what I needed from Sony, possibly. I'm just speculating, and this is what I do. I'm Shannon Studstill. And I think once it closed down, it gave her a pause, What was I talking about? Brutal Doom because it's a mod. It's gory. Oh, I should play it then. Were VFX artists is hard to come by when you were in the industry? Good talent was always hard to come by. Okay, I don't remember what I was talking about, so let me just go ahead and jump to this thing, the movie night. So movie night is going to be on Saturday. I'm going to do it maybe 4-ish California time because I don't want it to be too late. Oh, Chaos. Yeah, I'll get to that in a second. I don't know. I think the first movie is going to be for everyone. And that is going to be, all you need is like a copy of Screener on your computer or your cell phone. And we're going to play it off Tubi, so it's free. You don't have to worry about anything. That's everyone. And then the stream after is going to be Cult Calypso members and up. And it'll be somewhere I can't tell you where, but it's a movie. I'm not going to tell you what. If you like the movies like heavy metal, like really violent adult animation that are fun to watch when you're stoned as fuck, that's what me, the Cult Calypso, and the God of War members will be watching on Saturday evening. So, can you give good podcasts? Oh, Jacob is asking, can I give good podcasts to check out like yours and Colin's? I see now. Yes, Andrew, I will stream Hitman. Absolutely. I don't know. I mean, I listen to like Meet the Press. I listen to political podcasts. There's a podcast with Jason Bateman, Will Arnett, and some guy I think he was on Third Rock. I don't know. It's a weird fucking name. But every week they bring on a guest and the other two don't know who the guest is. But it's all video game. No, it's all movie and entertainment people. They've had J.J. Abrams on. I think they had Tom Hanks on. So it's like celebrity interviews, but it's really fucking funny. Will Arnett and this other guy and Bateman are hilarious. So I listen to that. I forget what it's called though. I've driven Riverside. Where? There's a lot of Riversides. I put the stud in Studstill, says Mr. K. Yeah, I'm sure you did, sir. The chaos. I was talking about the chaos. So all I was saying about the chaos, I'll bring you on Palma in just a second, buddy. All I was saying about the chaos was that look, there's bad chaos and there's healthy chaos, right? Bad chaos is someone sick, a bad accident, okay? But what I'm talking about is just philosophically, the only religious teachings, and most of it, all of it, I got through a non-secular or a non-religious version of Buddhism called Shambhala, and it's the only thing that's ever really stuck with me. But it teaches a need to lean into the chaos of life and the disappointment of life and the confusion of life and the dangers of life, right? And that has always stuck with me. And so I think that's why meditation is so powerful. It doesn't make you immune from the pain of life at all. But what it does let you do, and there's a great quote by Eckhart Tolle who says, you want to be of the world, not in the world, right? Which means, yes, you want the world to affect you. You want to be part of it. You don't want to be some kind of wallflower standing back and watching the world go by. But you don't want to be so entrenched with the world that you lose your identity as who you really are, which is this sense of isness that sits above the world. So I think Buddhism is really good for that kind of teaching. And in that, you learn to become comfortable and even embrace a lot of chaos, because when it's happening, you can kind of be above it and recognize it as the wonderful change agent that it actually is, right? I'm happier now than I was at Bartlett Jones. Shannon is happier now than she was running Sony Santa Monica. Although from the outside, society would say, what are you doing? You're running a fucking YouTube channel, and Shannon, what are you doing? I know she can't tell you, but what are you doing, you know? But when you have the perspective, you're able to step back and go, that looks like happiness, but that's not actually happiness. That's all I'm saying. Let me bring in Palma. Let me get the super chat first, though. I think maybe I already got it. I'm kind of a little out of my fucking mind right now. Right, you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. I totally agree. Hang on one second. I just want to make sure I'm reading this. I don't want to miss anybody's ducats. Oh, here it is right here. Okay. I don't think I got Gray Fox Jogger. He says, Jaffe, do you think Sony will have the same success or even be relevant in the next 10 years with all this happening? Oh, yeah, there's more. Lord Garth had a thing. I'm sorry. I'm getting to those now. I'm high. Come on, guys. But I'll bring in Paul in just a second. So, look, talent thrives. Talent moves on. Talent lives. I don't know where Sony will be in 10 years. I mean, no one does, right? So I know you weren't asking for me to look into a crystal ball I don't have. But what I will say is that the industry is in a constant state of change, right? I honestly think, and I don't know if it's going to happen in 10 years, I honestly think first-party hardware developers are going away. I think everybody knows that. The question is when, right? Is it 5 years, 10 years, 25 years when broadband is good enough that you can overcome distance from the server farm, or that they can put up more server farms? I don't know that. Or there's a new kind of technology that allows the data to travel fast enough that people can have streaming directly to their TVs or computers or whatever, and it still plays great. I have that. Plays great for me because I'm close enough to a server farm. A lot of people don't have that, right? So at that point, Sony will not be irrelevant, but they will be a content creator just like they are for movie theaters, right? But if we're not there yet, I think what you might really be asking is Sony going to get pushed out of the hardware business? I think Sony will absolutely get pushed out of the hardware business if they choose to say the Xbox acquisition of Activision and maybe some other companies is not very important. Like, in fact, I want to say it was on, it might have been Colin's show, or maybe there's a lot of people talking about this these days, right? So I don't know who said this. It might have been on Colin's show. But somebody said the best thing Sony can do is say, we're investing in 10 or 15 new studios. We're going to go to work, making the great shit we always make. We'll see you when we see you, bye. And basically implying that stay the fucking course. If you're going to do anything, invest in new games for your system, and don't let this rattle you, right? I don't agree with that, right? Because I think ultimately here's what very easily could happen, okay? It may not happen. Game Pass may never catch on and become the beast that I think it will be. And if it doesn't, then yeah, I think Sony's going to stay in it. But assuming this acquisition continues to drive people to say, Game Pass sounds like a fucking amazing value. And now with Call of Duty, it's hard to argue, assuming that it becomes exclusive or the $70 is a turnoff for PlayStation owners when their buddies are getting it for, quote, free. I know it's not free. So here's what would happen. Sony, PlayStation, not the quality would go down, although it might, because when you're making the most money, you can hire people away. But let's assume the quality doesn't change because management stays and they're able to continue to recognize people who do the brilliant work that they do. But what they start losing is licensing money that comes from selling games on their hardware, which is where a huge amount of their PlayStation money comes from. Because every time you buy Call of Duty, even though Sony doesn't make it, Sony gets a percentage of that purchase. BB and Tina, the Smurfs game, all the way up to Call of Duty and Battlefield 2042. Every single time Sony makes money. Every single time you buy something for a third-party piece of software off the PlayStation Network, Sony makes money. Well, if people begin to look at Sony like they looked at GameCube, which is, this is my box to play first-party Sony games, and they remain as brilliant as possible. But all that other third-party money is going to Xbox or whoever rises as a competitor who's doing the same kind of thing, then I think Sony can look at it and go, well, yeah, we could be GameCube, but we don't want to be GameCube. We're in this to be the biggest like we were. I can't see Sony being comfortable being this niche product that's profitable, but not much more than that. So my guess would be it depends on how they respond to this particular acquisition is what I would say. Just going to say, as their roots, Microsoft is a software company, Sony is a hardware company. Yeah, but I don't think that matters because you're talking about PlayStation at this point. I think Sony is going to be all right, says Novodamus, but they'll feel the effects of this. Nintendo is Nintendo. Yeah, I imagine people waking up yesterday at Sony had a lot more meetings that were scheduled as well as just in the hallways than people at Nintendo did. I don't think Nintendo looked at this like, but I also don't think that Nintendo really thinks too much about Activision's output because there are some Call of Duty games, but they're not a lot. Right, the same reason they dropped the Vita. Yep. All right, let me get these calls. Yeah, John Flatter, you're right. Look at how much Netflix spends on content, for sure. Another question I'd ask is how much different the profit would be if Microsoft cut a check for Game Pass versus actually releasing it traditionally. How much different the profit would be if Microsoft cut a check for Game Pass? I don't know if I understand that. Okay. Well, Crash wasn't that successful, John. I love that game, but it wasn't that successful. Palma, it's Jaffe. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up, Jaffe? Can you hear me?
I can hear you great.
Yeah, I was just talking to Rob. So, but I was gonna say,
he's an asshole, and he hits his mother at night.
It's my first time talking with him. He's a pretty cool guy. He doesn't seem like the guy that would do that.
That's what makes him so dangerous.
Yeah, well, he tricked me. Got me good.
What's up, man?
Hey, so yeah, regarding the Apple and Sony acquisition, I think that it's something that can definitely happen. I think a couple of years ago, they were the rumors actually that Apple might acquire them when I think Sony was having some financial issues. And so I definitely see it as a possibility. The only thing that concerns me is that what if Apple would start like slowly kill Sony in a way? Because I feel like that's what they kind of done with the Beats brand. Because I remember Beats was like a huge thing, but once they acquired them, I feel like they've slowly become not as relevant. So that's the only kind of thing that would kind of concern me.
But I mean, first off, as it was pointed out to me, and I knew this, but I had forgotten it. It is very difficult for any other country to buy a Japanese country. company, because there are government regulations that really they don't want their Japanese companies to sell to foreign companies. So the chances of Apple actually acquiring Sony, I think if anyone's going to acquire Sony, like the chat was saying, it's easier than it would be easier for Toyota to buy Sony than it would for Apple. But assuming they did, though, and it's not impossible, so let's just say assuming they did, you know, I mean, I don't know enough about how the company runs. As a layperson who used to be a huge fan of Apple, I can tell you that, I mean, obviously Jobs sounds like he was a fucking nightmare to work with, but he brought the world a lot of cool shit. And I haven't seen a lot of innovation and cool shit since Tim Cook has taken over. Obviously they're making a shit ton of money, but you know, those Apple, you know, what do they call them? Showcases or whatever, when they'd go on stage and stuff. That shit used to be stuff that would keep me up at night excited about what is Jobs going to reveal tomorrow and what's the new iOS do and what's the one more thing. And I don't even watch them now. I just go to a blog and go, what happened? Or a news site or whatever. So my point is all I know about Apple is that they have become incredibly non-innovative over the last 8 years or 10 years or so.
Right.
I can't speak to Beats or how they run companies they've acquired. They acquire companies all the time. I don't know if they have a reputation like EA when they were acquiring companies where they kind of really gut their culture and make a shell of what they used to be. Microsoft used to be that way, but I have no idea how Apple is with that. So I don't know.
Yeah, and also regarding the American buying like Japanese, I don't know if you're familiar with lawyer Richard Hogg. I think he's been on Colin Moriarty.
Yes, I know. Yeah, he has a website or a YouTube channel where he talks about legal aspects of entertainment and games and things like that.
I heard him say on his YouTube channel that it actually wouldn't be as impossible, because I guess Phil Spencer has also mentioned that he's very interested in acquiring a Japanese gaming company. And I remember him saying in one of his videos that it shouldn't be much of a problem.
Oh, well then there you okay. So I mean,
interested to see.
All right. Well, so yeah, that you know, like I said, I don't know anything about it. We do have a lawyer in the chat right now, maybe who knows games really well. So maybe he could chime in, but I don't know. But yeah. So okay. So assuming they could buy it though, you know, it seems on the surface like Sony and Apple make a lot of sense together culturally. At least from what I know, but I really have no idea who the best. If somebody were to come in and buy PlayStation, that was one of the big ones, I would worry about Amazon, just because they have shown absolute shit management of their game studios and all of their game shit. You know, Lumberyard all the way to their games they've released so far, which I think is only one or two. Which leaves what? I mean, Apple and Smilegate, and Smilegate, I don't know how big they are, but they're relatively big. But it leaves Apple, Amazon. I don't know who else is on the map in that scope, in that scale. But I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be interesting. All right, man, Palm, I appreciate the call, buddy. Thank you. All right, see you, bud.
See you.
There goes Palma Creations. Yeah, I mean, he brings up a great point, but unfortunately with a point like that, there's not much you can do with it, because I'm like, yeah, maybe. I don't know the story. Maybe people who are really hardcore music nerds can say, oh, well, here's why the Beats brand kind of is no longer as sexy and passionate amongst aficionados of music as it was. I don't know if a better product has come out and beat Apple on the market. I don't know if they used to be great, but they've shipped their manufacturing to a new manufacturing plant and it's shit. Like they fall apart now. I have no idea. Nintendo should buy Sony, says Twisted Metal. They could go bankrupt for 50 years and still not go broke. Yeah. Slinga says, guys, relax. Nobody is buying PlayStation. They will find a way to survive. Yeah, I mean, again, this whole conversation got kicked off when we were talking 10 years from now. Like, where's Sony going to be? And there is no doubt that you either, you know, everybody's consolidating right now, and you either stay an entertainment company like PlayStation is, I mean, they're a hardware company too, or you allow yourself to either buy or get bought by a company, or you become one of these massive conglomerates that runs the mainstream entertainment world. I mean, I don't think it's the sky is falling to suggest that Sony right now is going to have a real hard time if these acquisitions bear fruit. They may not, but they probably will. Flattery says PlayStation has to replace Call of Duty, at least in the console world. You're probably right. They have to come out with that game from Guerrilla that is so awesome. It becomes that generation's version of Halo, basically. Okay, let me get some super chats. Thank you guys very, very much. Black Studio says, hey, Jaffe, have you seen any anime? The last thing I watched seriously, meaning I've watched 3 episodes of it, was Death Note. I love anime, like the look of it, right? I'm very enamored by it. And I think it's Crunchyroll. I don't know what the anime, I love Ghibli, but I don't really think of Ghibli as animation. Anime. It's obviously anime, but you know what I'm saying. It's not mechs and fast cars and motion lines and all that. That's what I think of when you say anime. So I don't really usually when I watch anime, I find the visuals amazing, but I get a little bored of the story. I watched, I think it was called Dot Hack. I think that's what it was. Me and my, when was Dot Hack out? If it was, me and my son watched one, and me and my daughter watched one, and we were really into it, but the other one didn't like it. I'm not sure which one of them liked Dot Hack. It was the one about the virtual world and the guy who was the megalomaniac leader and all that shit. But so I watched a little bit of it, and I've been to the anime convention in LA once or twice, which is amazing. Maxwell, thank you, buddy, for the very generous super chat. He says, I think Sony will ultimately bend the knee to Microsoft and allow Game Pass on PlayStation and be bought by someone like Apple, which has been interested in buying Sony. I'll say buy Capcom and Square. It's so funny. I appreciate the super chat. I almost saw the exact same quote yesterday, but I'm high. Maybe I'm having chronological shifts. But I think somebody did write this. Maybe it was you. Maybe I don't think it was, because your name I would remember. But I don't know. Let me think through this. It's not Dot Hack. What was the one? What was it called? It was the one about the virtual reality game. And all the Japanese kids, oh, right, it was awesome. And all the kids go into it in Japan, not just kids, but mostly kids and teenagers. And then if they take off the helmet, they die. So all of them have been put into hospital rooms, and they're still alive, but you can't get into the world to get them out, and you can't disconnect them or they will die. What is that show? Whatever that was, that's the one we watched. Sword Art Online. That's what it was, Black Studio. Yeah, Sword Art Online. That was the shit, man. That was fucking awesome. Fucking love that shit. Gantz, I've never seen. I want to say we tried to watch it movie night, Tony Barnes, and it was really boring. I don't know if Gantz is what I'm thinking of. It has this guy who looks like a Hellgeist Killzone character on the cover, and it was like, oh, cool war and all that. But when you actually watch it, it's kind of a bunch of government regulator guys just kind of sitting around tables and shit. I don't remember. Adversary 1, we settled in San Diego. Honestly, I love LA, and I would like to think I'm going to end up in LA as my final living place. But we settled here because it was, we loved Santa Monica, but we couldn't afford like a normal house. Like the house I had here in San Diego, when we bought it, was like $700K, $780K, something like that. And it was a very modest house. If I would have bought that house in Alabama, that house would have been, $120,000, right? Well, that house in LA would cost you about, that $750,000 house would cost you about $6 million. And they would tell you it was a starter home. And so we were like, the schools are better, it's safer, blah, 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 and we can actually afford to raise them in a good neighborhood. Harry Johnson, why do people underestimate PlayStation? Because they deserve to be underestimated in this case. I'll get the other super chats that came in before. That one just caught my eye. I'll get those in a second, fellas. But because Sony has done nothing, Harry Johnson, so far in the history of their company that I can think of that shows they are anything more, now listen to the whole sentence because it sounds like I'm insulting them and I'm not, that shows they are anything more than a company that is absolutely brilliant, best of breed, making one specific kind of game, and they're really good making other kinds of games. They have never shown an appetite for big acquisitions. They have never shown themselves a company that seems to have multiple branches firing on all cylinders. Their movie business is slowly becoming profitable again, but it's, you know, they don't have a streaming service because historically, for a long time, their biggest license that they own was Sleepless in Seattle. And then it became Spider-Man, which they don't own either, right? And so I don't think Sony has ever positioned themselves, either not from lack of trying or because it doesn't interest them, in being one of these Amazons, Apples, Microsofts, one of these just fucking behemoths of the media landscape. And so it's not that they're being underestimated. It's not that people are shitting on them in underestimating them because they think Sony's not going to continue to make great games. Of course they will. They'll probably still make the best games in the industry if you like that kind of game. I think people are saying this about Sony because there's nothing to indicate that they would want and or be able to play this game that Microsoft is clearly interested in playing. That's what we're talking about. It's not got nothing to do with how good PlayStation is and how great right now those games are, and they probably will be. But okay, I want to go back to this though. I think Sony will ultimately bend the knee to Microsoft and have it on PlayStation. So the thing I don't understand though about that is who has to bend the knee, basically, as you say. Is it Sony bending the knee, or is Sony going, sweet, right? Suddenly, if you're going to subscribe, I mean, Sony's not bending the knee. Sony's going, well, I mean, I don't know who, they both benefit, right? Because Sony would get it, and people would buy their hardware still because they want to play the exclusives, and all the stuff that Microsoft owns exists on Sony as well now through GamePass, which the gamer would be paying for anyway. And so it would then make sense to buy a PlayStation. It's almost like PlayStation would be like, please, for the love of God, let us put GamePass, because then they would fucking dominate. Hang on, what's up, buddy?
There's like, I'm
Thank you. But so, you know, I think that makes Sony, what a great thing for Sony. Even more so if Xbox gets out of the hardware business, but they probably won't until streaming is pretty common, right? Xbox would win. They'd lose because they'd get the shit kicked out of them in hardware, but if they're okay doing that because it's the right time, they would win because they'd get all these other subscribers. So, you know, I think certainly if Sony got Game Pass, Sony would destroy Xbox hardware division. So unless Xbox is like, yeah, we're good with that. I can't imagine they would be. We want to sell Game Pass everywhere. And if we lost Xbox, don't worry about it. We got it on TVs now. We got it on PlayStation now. We got it on phones. We got it on smart TVs automatically. I believe Sony still has a better eye for indie devs, of course, than Microsoft, but they seem to be giving up on indie for AAA. Yeah, no one is criticizing the quality of Sony. If you have a PlayStation 5 and you're playing first party, you are playing some of the best games ever made in the history of the medium. Not all of them, but a lot of them. But that's not what this is about anymore. Like we talked about yesterday. You're going to enjoy your steak more at a fancy mom and pop steakhouse that is in Texas and the beef is raised in you know, on the farm behind the restaurant. But you're probably going to eat at McDonald's a hell of a lot more. How about talking about the $80 billion Microsoft has to recoup with interest? I can't say your name, so Botham? Side Botham? I don't know. What's there to talk about? I mean, again, this idea that fans have that they know more than Microsoft. Do you think the numbers people at Microsoft didn't sit down and go, okay, I mean, you really think that the Microsoft money guys walked in yesterday and Phil Spencer's like, oh, guys, this weekend I took my kids to see Hamilton, and me and my wife tried that great Italian restaurant. Oh, and I bought Activision for $70 billion. Okay, cool, Phil. I'll see you at the softball game. I mean, they obsess over the numbers. They have multiple people, multiple companies they hire out to help us work through the numbers. Is this good business? They don't just buy this shit. So my answer is, I can talk about the $80 billion they spent with interest, but, you know, yes, they have to make the money back. And I assume they've run the numbers and they think that this deal will do that. Jaffe, most large purchases in every industry end up in disaster. I don't know if you can show me facts to suggest that. I think I could show you telecoms where that's not correct. I could show you companies like Sony buying Columbia back in the 90s, buying movie studios. I could show you Disney buying Fox and Pixar and Marvel. I'm not saying it doesn't go bad, but there's a lot of cases where it goes fucking great. Okay, let me, why do people, okay, so Jaffe, could you see, this is from Eddie, thank you, buddy. Could you see Sony selling PlayStation if the price is right? Sadly, I could see PlayStation coming into an end after 5 generations. Like I said, man, I think everything's on the table at this point. My take on it, and it's all it is just a hot take. I don't know if it means I don't know what that means anymore, but it's just it's an off the cuff take. I don't have any more data than you guys at this point. We're all sharing the same soup of information. But my thinking is that all of this depends. The answer to your question, could I see Sony selling PlayStation if the price is right? All of this is built on the bones of how they respond to this acquisition and Microsoft's recent aggressiveness of growing into a massive media conglomerate, okay? If the customer response to that expansion is what I think it will be, which is very positive, and if Sony doesn't respond in kind, not in kind, but it respond in a way that makes sense, I think you're right. I think they would just sell it. And I've been here before. I was here when Atari, a company from America, was the biggest name in video games. It was, you couldn't say video games without thinking Atari. They built the industry, more or less, in America and ultimately all over the world. And they were the biggest fish in a very lucrative pond. And then almost overnight, they became a footnote, right? So this happens. It's impermanence, going back to Buddhism. Things rise, things fall. When I was a kid, Atari ruled the roost. Now they're a joke because they still think they're going to make money making riffs on Missile Command, right? Maybe they are, but I don't know who's buying them. A lot of people watching this stream, you guys came up on PS1, PS2. It's hard to imagine, but it could happen. It's happened before. I have not seen the new Horizon trailer, but I will watch it and I will comment on it. Yeah, Disney buying Fox saved the X-Men. It also saved the Aliens brand and the Predator brand. All those are back in real conversation. Let me bring in some chats, but let me go through these. Thank you guys very much. I want to make sure I didn't miss anybody. This is from Mo. Thank you, Mo. Mo says, Phil said after close, Xbox will be the third biggest gaming company by revenue after Tencent and Sony. It's not all doom and gloom. Sony has opportunities. Sony has plenty of opportunities. But, if you think, Mo, that Sony is going to be able to do business as usual, and not respond to this through action. I don't mean respond like in the press. I mean their behavior in terms of how they maneuver this. If you think that's not going to matter how they deal with this and they can just keep doing business as usual, I would say it is going to be doom and gloom for Sony, because I think this changes a lot of things. But the customers could reject this. People who love Call of Duty could say, I've had so many people over the last 2 years when I've been loving on Game Pass and subscription services tell me, oh, I like buying my games. I never want to sub to games, right? Well, and I was always like, you guys are a vocal minority, but let's say they aren't. Let's say a lot of the guys who don't like streaming or don't like downloading and quote renting, which is renting on Game Pass for a very long time. Let's say they do make up a meaningful percentage or a majority group of people who buy games. Well, they will ignore Game Pass. Even if Call of Duty's on it, they'll say, no, I buy my games. I don't do rentals. Fuck you. I'm going to go over to Sony and play the third-party stuff because they have exclusives and they have also third-party games, or at least some of them are still publishing on there. But, you have to assume that Game Pass gets rejected, and I don't think it's going to be, but it might. Some of you guys think it will. Yeah, Flattery says Sony has a bunch of Game of the Year games coming out, candidates, before next fall, so Xbox doesn't have that. Again, I'm sure you're going to get Michelin 3-star or 4-star dining at a mom and pop steakhouse that is right set in front of the farm where they actually raise the cows they slaughter. But McDonald's is probably still going to sell more. So yeah, I mean, if you want those brilliant masterpiece games that you consider masterpieces, not everybody does. Like somebody in the chat, some people say Stardew Valley is a masterpiece. Yeah, I think it is. But if you're into those kind of, big budget story games, just keep buying them. Sony will keep making them until they don't. Hang on one second. Let me get this call. Okay. All right. Well, there's some other stuff we can look at. So I'll just come on over when you come over, and I'll shut.
Okay, I'm gonna eat right now. I'm gonna call Cal real quick, see what he wants to do, because I have to give him his tee shot too.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. You find it. Somebody said they found it funny that people think. I find it baffling. Everyone thinks this will be a success for Microsoft. I don't know. Look. I like it. I'm happy. I'm excited by it, right? You want to know why I'm excited by it? Because I love Game Pass. As a gamer, it speaks directly to how I game. I like to try lots of things. I discover lots of things. I play more games with Game Pass. I would have never played Dante's Inferno, which is shaping up to be one of my favorite games I've played in a very long time, if I didn't have Game Pass. Although you can also get it on EA Play, but it's free, quote free, with Game Pass Ultimate, right? So for me, that's just more cool shit for Game Pass. It doesn't mean that I don't enjoy my PlayStation. I do. I'm playing Hitman 3 on PlayStation until it comes out on Game Pass Friday. But, that's the last game I bought on it a couple of weeks ago. So no, I'm excited. And so maybe it will do well. Or maybe it won't. I don't know. None of us know yet. Yeah, I don't finish them. I don't take that as some sort of badge of weakness. People are like, you never finish games. No, because I only have so much life left. I'm 50 years old. I'm not going to play, and I've always been that way. If I'm bored, I'm moving on. That's not some deficiency in my character. To me, that's the game's problem. I am still playing Dante's Inferno after 3 days because it keeps showing me cool, interesting stuff that engages my brain. Okay? I want to keep playing it. But if you like to stick around and when you're not engaged, that's on you, my friend. That's on you, my friend. I'm kind of the opposite, Jaffe. I won't stop until I beat a game. Yeah, and that's great. I think that's fantastic. Okay, let me get these calls that have been waiting real quick. This is our good friend, Cannibal Lecter, calling in from, I think you're calling in from the Nazi bunker with Adolf Hitler. What's going on, man?
Hey, Jaffe, how are you doing today?
I am doing great. How are you?
No, very good, very good. I missed to say two things yesterday.
Yes,
in our call.
one moment, Cannibal. Let me deal with this Smeg guy. You think I give a fuck? You're not a gamer, buddy. Unless you're trolling, and I have to hope you are, or you're 8 years old. I can't tell you there aren't many things I give a fuck less about than your or anyone's opinion, whether you think I'm a gamer or not. I don't care if I'm meet your fucking definition of cool or of gamer. What the fuck do I care? Fucking moron. All right, go ahead, Cannibal. Sorry.
All right. The best dish is served cold. This is not an original idea or not an original observation, but I was listening to a few individuals, and I've been listening and following them for quite a few years. And that individual pointed out that, Mike Ybarra, and there was another individual.
That's exactly right.
Yeah,
Mike Ybarra, who is a great guy. Keep going, though. I know where you're going. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, and I'm really surprised that, they moved to, escape the clutches of Philly, and now they're back under him.
Okay. Well, that's not what I thought you were going to say. So Mike Ybarra used to be one of the main heads of Xbox.
I know.
No. I like him a lot. He's a good dude, or at least he always was to me. Very friendly guy, very knowledgeable, hardcore gamer. And he left recently to be a bigwig over at Blizzard. Now, I don't know if he left Microsoft because he didn't believe in the vision. I don't know if he left Microsoft because Blizzard is like, hey, Phil Spencer ain't going anywhere. If you want a shot to become the big kahuna, come on to Blizzard, right? Well, lo and behold, he is now running all of Blizzard. He is the president of Blizzard. Unfortunately, he got there because a woman that he was co-president with left because she's like, I can't do this. This is a shithole. But that said, though, Mike is now the head. So if actually Phil and Matt Booty and Ybarra parted on good terms, that's actually I know, but I'm saying that's actually a really good sign that maybe Xbox can help turn around Blizzard and actually bring these games that are beloved. They've just gotten the shit kicked out of them and they got bloody noses and dirt all over them right now, can bring these games back to prominence. That's what when I heard the news and reminded of Mike Ybarra, I was like, oh, that would be fantastic.
Oh, okay. So this is where Jaffe, my tinfoil hat comes in.
Okay.
So this is the theory is, right? He moved as a espionage who aired all of the problems that was happening in that particular studio.
Yeah.
And when the going get hotter because all of the information started piling up and releasing, he whispered in the ears of our Bobby boy, said, "Sell it to Philly." That is the
I know that's the tinfoil hat, and I've heard a couple of tinfoil hat theories, but what I will tell you is there was a movie that came out a while ago about, and I want to say George Clooney might have been in it, but it was about, and Tilda Swinton might have been in it, but it was about corporate espionage and spying and all this stuff that happens at the highest level. And nobody who reviewed the movie, maybe they didn't know, but nobody who reviewed the movie was like, oh, that's not a real thing, right? But the fact that they made a movie about it and people have talked about it, at a more of a high level of like, here's things that go on at certain companies. I think it's a hard thing to believe, but I also know that it does happen. You have these people who embed in companies with the express purpose of going, we want to learn shit that is coming down the line, absolutely that happens. Absolutely. But all these are kind of like, plausible, probable. I don't fucking know. None of us really know.
Jaffe, two things.
Yes.
Aliens are possible.
Aliens are possible and probable. Oh, my baby. You listen to me, baby. Listen to me. You got to call back soon. I got a surprise for you. It's just not ready yet.
Okay.
I'll talk to you soon, buddy. See you, man.
No worries.
All right, let's bring in Goods has been waiting, then I'll bring in the incredible edible as fuck. Goods, what's up? It's Jaffe.
Jaffe, how's it going, man?
Very, very good. One moment.
Like-
Hang on. You're saying all the sexual allegation claims started after Mikey Barr got there. Not true. Maybe the claims that got more public, but these are things that if you go back to California has been investigating and telling Activision to get their shit together for 2 years. So it's not like Ybarra went there and made up a bunch of shit. I don't think Mike would ever do that. He seems like a very nice guy and a good guy. But more importantly, your timeline doesn't work out. Okay, sorry. Goods, go ahead.
No worries. So I got an old school question for you, and I'm gonna wrap it into the Activision thing.
Okay.
Vigilante 8.
Yep.
You know, as the Twisted Metal guy, what was that like when, you know, Vigilante 8, kind of a copy paste, came out? You know, what did you think of the game? How do you feel about them taking your creativity? And then the second part of it is,
yep.
Well, is this a potential Activision, you know, property that could be resurrected, or is the car combat genre, is that not viable in modern day? Is that an old school kind of genre that just doesn't work anymore?
Well, okay, so when it came out, you know, I played it because we were actively working on new Twisted Metals. Unlike when Dante's Inferno came out, which everyone said, dude, it's a ripoff, which I love, by the way. I finally got around to playing it, but I was like, I'm off that game now. I'm not working on that, so I don't really care. But I wasn't bothered by it. I mean, in the sense that I wasn't like, how dare they? It's like, you know, if I'm going to get mad at them, then John Romero needs to get mad at me for ripping off Doom. And Miyamoto needs to get mad at me for ripping off Battle Mode for Twisted Metal. And Ed Boon should be furious for me ripping off Mortal Kombat. I mean, as I always say, we all kind of stand on the shoulders of each other and you know, build our shit. And it's built on the backs of things like Ico, Onimusha, Devil May Cry. So I didn't have a problem with it. I will tell you that I was bothered that it looked so fucking good. Like, I remember, you know, you look back at it now and it doesn't, but back then, you know, Twisted Metal was okay looking, but that looked awesome. And I was like, how in the fuck can they make their car combat game look that good? I did not like the physics of it, and I know there were people who did, and I was just like, I don't care if this becomes the way to do it. I never want to do a car combat game this way because it was too realistic for what I wanted to be able to do in the car, like turn in midair, turn while not moving. You know, they really doubled down on, hey, these are cars, and we absolutely ignored that. We're like, they look like cars, they control like very simple humans, and if you take that away, I don't think it's near as fun. Your second question, though, is it good? Is it possible to resurrect? Anything's possible to resurrect, but if you're talking about it from what you know Interstate 76, or more importantly Vigilante 8 as, I think it has the exact same problem that Twisted Metal is up against, which is it is an antiquated formula. As a guy who's worked on a bunch of car combat games, I certainly don't know what I would do to refresh it and make it meaningful. My best shot was the 2012 version, and yes, there were net issues with it and connection issues with it, but even when it worked, there are people who love it, but it didn't set the world on fire in terms of, oh, we cracked the nut once it works. So I think if they have someone there that has an answer, then absolutely they could make it relevant. But I've never heard or come up with anything that makes it relevant.
What do you think it is about that genre that doesn't seem to fit with modern gaming? I mean, what is it? I
think it's very simple. It's most people look at games as the wrapper on the candy, but you can't really look at games that way. You have to look at games, if you're serious about understanding why they work, why they fail, how to make them, you have to look at games at an abstract level in the design process, okay? So what it is you can say car combat is a genre or even a subgenre of the hero shooter, but it really isn't. It's a hero shooter, right? They happen to look like cars, but what made people love that genre, there's very few people who love the genre because they think car combat in looping around over and over to set up a shot and having to pick up weapons that you don't have to be exact on because it's almost impossible to hit a car without homing or some cheating, right? The people who genuinely like that, I'm sure they exist and they do, but the majority of them liked it because at the time it was creative, it looked different, and it played as good as any other fucking split screen shooter that you could get out there in the world. But now, you know, Twisted Metal, Vigilante 8 are competing with, their competition is Halo and Battlefield 2042 and Call of Duty and Overwatch, right? And those characters in those games allow you to do so much more by nature of being bipedal, abstract, functioning tools. You can slide and strafe and dodge and duck and leap and hang and go hand over hand and fire. You can throw grenades and you can adjust because you're not moving super fast like a car's supposed to. You can really pinpoint where that grenade's going to land if you start learning about the arc and the splash damage of it. All that gets sucked out of it with Twisted Metal. And in that, it suffers massively by comparison with any other shooter. But a lot of people make the mistake of thinking it's its own genre, but it's not. It's just a shooter that controls a little bit differently. So that would be my answer. I would not touch.
Awesome.
I would not touch Vigilante 8 unless Twisted Metal, unless somebody on the team had said everything you're saying, Jaffe, I agree with, but here's what I've come up with. And it's like, oh shit, that's really good. I'm not saying it can't be solved. I haven't heard it solved, and I certainly haven't solved it. All right, thanks for the call, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks a lot, man.
All right, there goes Goods off into the night. Last call of the night. This is coming from the incredible edible as fuck. What's up, champion? How you doing? And by the way, Mr. K said to me a couple of days ago, he's like, I don't like it when you call us pal. I don't like it when you call us champion. It sounds like you're some 50s dad or something. And I'm like, dude, it's ironical. I know it's not ironical. It's ironic. It's meant to be stupid. I call my kids pal and champ and all that because it's so stupid. I don't actually go, hey, champ. I don't actually think that. It's charming because I am intentionally being ironic about old-fashioned colloquialisms. Do you understand my method? The ladies love it. I'm sorry if you don't get it, but that's the goddamn truth. All right, let me bring on Incredible. Incredible, what's going on? What do you want to talk about? Oh, he's there. Where'd he go? We lost him. We lost him. Oh, Chongo just sent me a really cool Netflix presentation about managing creatives. I will look through that. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Okay, I'm trying to see if we get him back. Here we go. Incredible, it's Jaffe. Nope, I got to go into here. Incredible, it's Jaffe.
Oh, I thought I was talking to Rob and it just cut me off.
Oh, did you want to talk to me or you want to stay talking to Rob?
No, I was talking to Rob because of waiting to chat to you.
All right, what's up?
Yeah. Hi, how's it going?
It's good.
Sorry, I've missed most of your stream.
That's okay.
I just thought I'd just drop in and speak about this whole Activision.
No worries. What's going on?
Do you think that this would be actually a really good thing if Microsoft used their position with like tons of cash to just make some decisions which no one would take the risk on? Like, I've got an idea of, like, say they allowed all those different studios to say, for example, so they said to, I don't know, Ravensoft to say, why don't you do something with the Forza IP? Or they went to Ninja Theory and they said, and then, I know they're not part of Activision, but went to Ninja Theory and said, why don't you guys try to make a survival horror Gears game? Like, they don't need to be in the mainline series, but they could be like part of that kind of IP. I'm not
entirely sure I understand. I understand those examples, but what are you saying that reflects Microsoft doing that they're not doing now?
In that they have that kind of, like Netflix they've got the mainline TV shows, like the big hits, but then they also have these obscure, that kind of like almost
and sometimes they break through, right? Like I know everybody's raving about what's the new one, 81? Well, no, Squid Game, but there's this Archive 81, and then there was Fear Street over the summer, which was awesome. So yes, but what? Okay, keep going.
Yeah, so I'm just thinking, like, a lot of people are thinking negatively about this whole acquisition and saying monopolies, and yeah, it can be really bad because, like, if they just, kind of like just concentrate the market and really just, maximize all the the bad side of gaming, you know, the stuff that is not really for gamers, it's just to make the extra money. But they could also use their position with their mic, because you know Microsoft make most of their money through business, like through Azure, through Office 365. You know, they make, that's why they're $1 trillion company, not because of Xbox. So if they used their might to actually make creative yet risky decisions in content, that could become big hits. But like no one would, you know, Take-Two aren't going to do it because they have to have a hit. Like every game.
Well, okay, right. So here's what I think. I think if yes, I have Mr. Brown seen Cruise and Blast. I haven't played it yet though, but I want to. So what I would say to that is, if what they're saying about Game Pass is are all roads and us being successful at Microsoft Games, whatever they're calling it now, lead through Game Pass, then ultimately their biggest challenge becomes, like any other subscription service, it becomes stopping people from churning and just subscribing for Halo, sticking around for another month and going, okay, I'll resubscribe when something good comes. What they want is people to just like Netflix, stay and stay and stay and stay. So in that, you know, they're going to have to hit a cadence of fast releases, you know, that are meaningful enough that you don't want to quit in February because in March this is coming, you know, or these 3 things are coming that you can only get here. And they're already doing that a little bit with indies and third parties. But my point is, I think to them, it's probably, maybe I'm wrong, and hopefully they keep the Microsoft mentality and don't adopt the horrible, everybody wants to make money, but Activision just seems so just gross about it, and they keep more of the Microsoft mentality of it, at least that they present, that they go, we're going to balance the stuff that are sure things and that marketing says we have to have another Halo, we have to have another Forza, whatever. And that will keep, that's our big tent poles. But yeah, we want to make sure that we also have a very varied portfolio and library that keeps people of all different types of gamers coming back and not just unsubscribing after they've gotten their fill of the last big thing. But I don't really think, and so my biggest answer is, I think that's the only way for a subscription service to work, unless it's about one game like Fortnite or something. I can't imagine this.
I think that game could be Call of Duty, couldn't it? Like if they get back on track with Call of Duty, then that could be their yearly game.
But they already, but they already have Warzone. They already have Warzone as a service-based game. So I would rather see them go, you know what? Take 3 years for Call of Duty like you have been for one studio, and let's take these other studios and do something interesting. Maybe in the time it takes them to make, one Call of Duty, these other studios can make 1 or 1.5 games that are more interesting and fresh, and that keeps people from churning. So, but we're not going to know yet. We're going to maybe know in a year what the output of all of these studios, I think they're at 31, 32 right now, if it's going to be reflective of what the sky is falling people say, which is it's all going to be microtransactions and games as a service, or if it's going to be more a reflection of like what we see happening at Netflix, Amazon, Disney Plus, HBO Max, and Apple TV, or Apple Plus, which is we have to cover the craps table with bets, because otherwise, if we only focus on one type of thing, unless we're like Shudder and we're less expensive, we're going to get high churn. So we don't know yet, but I think that's the process we have to wait and see.
Yeah, and they got that Candy Crush money as well. That's
fuck yeah! I think they're bringing Candy Crush to Game Pass. I think they're absolutely doing that. Yeah. So, all right, man, I appreciate it. Thanks, buddy.
Awesome. Take care.
Thanks, man. Sorry I cut you off. All right, fellas, there's my buddy Tony Barnes. That's right. A lot of game designers do not think in abstraction. They don't. And I think you have to think in both. I think you have to think of it at an abstraction level always, but you also need to have a strong sense of, is what you're making abstract and turning into reality or a conceptual reality, is it commercially viable? I think the best designers, that's not true. The best designers probably only think in abstraction. I'm not the best designer. I think Miyamoto probably used to think in abstraction, right? I think in both. Here's what I do. I tend to start with the concept, but I know enough to know that I very quickly need to make sure that concept can hold great, fun, compelling commercial water in the abstraction as well as in the concept. But the best designers just think almost in cubes and grids and dice rolls and all that. Like if you talk to Brenda Braithwaite, God damn it, Brenda Romero, sorry, Brenda. I know she thinks in concepts as well. Like Empire of Sin was made based on her love of the mobsters and the gangster time period. But that woman thinks in abstraction when it comes to game design. John probably does as well. It's really interesting, man. I love that stuff. I'm not as good as it as I should have been, but I love it. Fellas, that's it. I'm fried. That's Gabbin and Games for January 19th. I'll be back tomorrow, 5 o'clock. Maybe I'll take tomorrow off. If I'm not here one day this week, it's because I made good on my promise to take a day off. There was just enough news I wanted to talk about today, but I still got some members' gifts I got to fulfill and all that stuff. So if I'm not here tomorrow, you'll know why. I'm out for now, though. Be well. Take it easy. Rob the Mod, thank you so much. All the super chats, thank you guys very, very much. Very generous. All the great calls, all the great comments. Thank you for keeping me company and hanging out with me and talking about video games, one of the greatest things in the goddamn world. I will see you guys soon. Goodbye. Super chats did I miss? I didn't miss any fucking super chats. Fuck you. What? I'm looking at them all right now, you fucker. We got Mo, Harry Johnson, Eddie, Maxwell, Black, Mr. K, Hungry Adventures, Gray Fox, Jaeger. Oh, I missed one. Lord Garth. Yep, Lord Garth, I did miss yours. Sorry about that. I see it. I will get that first thing tomorrow. Let me take a screenshot or Friday whenever I'm streaming. Hang on. Yep. I will get that on. I will get that on the next stream I do live. I am very, very sorry, but you're absolutely right. I'll get it back to you very soon. All right, fellas, I'm out. Bye.